Who's doing the recap?
I can read what little notes I have and try to remember the rest.
Okay.
Lee is masked. Tick armed KC. Lee is now Void. Moving on down the river. Void has dinner with the Duchess. Troops are camped south of Cape, wanting surrender. I remember after that, we actually walked up to the hill and looked out and saw the troops. We waved at some of them.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they flipped us off. And
did they moon us?
I think they just flipped us off. Yeah. And then we decided we were going to go talk to Kane.
Oh, yeah, because we were like, there's the mayor, and then there's Kane, and then we asked around who really runs the town, and they're like, yeah, it's not the mayor. So we're like, okay, we've got to talk to the guy who...
And they had been meeting with Kane.
Yeah.
All right, so other than obviously the four of you, who are you taking? 'Cause I think you guys are pretty much all together. So I know Casey's with you. Are you taking Emily and or the doctor to this meeting?
Or Duchess or Songbird. You leave a lot of the women on the boat.
We got menfolk stuff to do.
Right. Important decisions to be made. Don't worry your little woman brain.
Oh, hold on a second. If decisions need to be made, don't take Lee. Because
worry.
decisions need to be made.
Lee is not coming along.
You've missed it. Lee's gone. This is Void. Void makes decisions.
Right.
Okay, so
first, I think what we need to do is sort of out of character. We need to do an in character thing of have Songbird regain consciousness and come back because she's still asleep on the boat, right?
I've never heard of her.
Oh yeah, right. She was. So okay. Mm-hmm. So yeah, Songbird.
You wake up. You're here. Let's go.
Yeah. Yeah. You wake up. The boat is at Cape. Dancer is idling not that far from it.
And actually, when you were asleep...
What was that for? I thought you said you listened to this.
I did.
Okay.
Yeah, I did. I know Duchess is here. I know that we're going to... So I forget the guy's name, but I know
Yeah, I was going to say Songbird, from her perspective, you were in the process of getting kidnapped, and we were in St. Louis.
Right. Yeah.
So, all right. Scene is set. Go.
So I wake up on the boat?
Yes.
Is there anybody else in the room with me?
No.
All right. Well, then I probably feel the tremendous urge to piss. So I'm going to stagger up on deck.
Okay.
And
when you get up on deck, the boat hands, Alejandro and the boat hands, they are, sounds like a band name. They're right now just they're tending the boat. There's also a group of people that you don't recognize, because right now you're at a wooden dock that is up against it's a building that is built partially on land, partially out over the river. Mm-hmm. And there are people that are working off of that dock to unload the ship. And so that's what they're working on. And then also Emily is standing there looking important.
Emily.
Well, good morning.
Where are we?
We are in Cape Girardeau.
At this point, I look out and I...
If you're going to ask me how we got here while you're standing on a boat...
No, but why are they with us? And I point at Dancer.
Well, because there's a hostile army outside of Cape, and now that Lee is part of St. Louis's ruling class, they felt it necessary to send an escort. Also because our ship's loaded with weapons, and it'd be a real shit show if it fell into the wrong hands.
How long was I out?
No, she'd be a day or two.
Jesus. Wait. Back up. Lee is what?
Lee is... He's one of the overseers now.
You're fucking with me.
Do I look like I'm fucking with you?
Yeah, you're a child pretending to be a ship's captain. Yeah, you literally look like you're fucking with people.
I am not fucking with anyone. I want you to know that right now I am in a great deal of distress under the burden of command in a war zone.
And she's not in combat pay.
Songbird is not laughing. All right, where's Lee?
Lee went out over that way to the south of the town. There's a defense and earthwork over there.
Okay.
That apparently points toward the other army, and they went out to inspect it.
Okay. And by they, you mean Motamar, Lee, Philip, Casey, et al.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I don't know where I piss on this boat, but wherever it is that I'm pissing, I have to go piss.
There's a toilet seat actually built into the side back by the horses.
Perfect.
Hope you're not self-conscious about horses or
No.
dockhands.
No, I've seen bigger.
Wow.
I bet you, Dan, didn't know that about what's his name.
All right, so I will hit the head, and then I'll go start getting my gear together, get my kit, and I will suit up, as they say, and make my way off the boat toward the south of town. Try to see if I can find them.
Okay, so as you start walking toward the south of town, she comes down the gangplank with you. So Leopard's a stallion?
Just shake my head at her and start walking away.
Come on, you can't start something like that and not finish.
Dish girl.
Girl talk.
I was being facetious about the horse. Look, with all due respect, Captain, I'm not comfortable having this conversation with you.
You're right, an officer should not fraternize with the sailors. As you were.
Aye, Captain. And then make my way, toward... I've got rifle slung over my shoulder. I have my goggles on my person, but obviously covered up because I don't want to get raped and murdered for high tech. And make my way toward the south of town. Occasionally ask if someone has seen them.
Yeah, you are... It does not take very far into town before you're told, because if nothing else, Lee's presence or Boyd's presence creates a hell of a splash. That he did an inspection of the lines and has since gone to the house of a man by the name of Frederick Kane.
Okay.
And what you learn of Frederick Kane, probably even in just passing mention, is that Kane is similar to what Thomas Barnes, Emily's grandfather, was in Herman, in that he does not actually wield any true political power, officially, but he, by virtue of wealth, resources, and loyal people, wields an enormous amount of power. In fact, by comparison, you might get a few comments about, well, no, that's not entirely true. The mayor here is a bit more hands-on. The two actually do have a bit of a power struggle going on, but I don't know. You catch more in bits and pieces of that.
All right. Well, if they went into this Frederick Kane's home, then that's where I'm going to go.
Okay. So you make your way towards Frederick Kane's house, and you happen to see them approaching the same house. The house sits up a little bit on a low hill that is toward the western part of town, and off from there stretches a bunch of farmlands, and you notice a few things pretty immediately, other than the fact that your entourage is also headed to the same place. The house is of very good maintenance. It's a large house, 2-story house, has quite a bit of square footage to it, is in excellent shape. I'm talking well painted, the windows are all there. This looks almost like pre-war new construction. The area around it, including the farmland, which is currently sitting fallow, you see several armed men, and by several I mean more than 2 or 3. I
And a
mean,
few good women.
no, actually, Kane was a little bit more selective.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
very progressive.
Kane was not. He's not exactly a progressive man, but you see hired thugs basically standing around in no small number. You notice that next to his house, though currently covered with a tarp, there is a swimming pool, and you see 2 worker robots, though they are of more questionable repair.
To what?
So the robots, they are almost like motorized frames. They actually may be what Casey's armor is built from. It's possible that his armor is built from a salvage of one of these.
Did you describe this in the last episode? Because I don't remember them.
There was a
seeing...
mention of it.
It was briefly
but
mentioned
we
that he
didn't
had
see any of
he
it
had
yet.
functional robots.
Okay.
And there are 2 of them that are tending the area around the pool. And like I said, they are in somewhat more questionable repair, but they are functional.
Are these like humanoid robots, or are they like functional, functional robots?
Well, they're humanoid in the sense they have 2 arms, 2 legs, and a torso, but they are not humanoid since these would not.
Yeah.
These
you
are
can't put a wig and a trench coat on these things and get into a movie.
No, absolutely not. For starters, they're significantly taller than a human is. They're about 8 or 9 feet tall. But then on top of that, they're built more in pipes and struck in supports and things like that. They are far more industrial in appearance. You would not vaguely pass these things as human.
Gotcha.
Well, as I approach, I recognize everyone, but I don't know what Lee is wearing.
Yeah, you notice with the group
Right.
is Lee, who is now wearing a long black judge's robe, and over his head is the mask that you probably recall Void wearing. In fact, it even still has the cut through it, where depending on how he moves, you can see a bit of his chin or neck underneath, and it's still got some dried blood on it. The mask, that is not not his neck.
All right.
Songbird looks like she's up.
I'll once I recognize the group, I'll make my beeline toward them. Take one last glance over my shoulder at the robots, and then walk right toward them and look right at Lee. What I thought Emily was kidding
What was she kidding about?
about you becoming an overseer.
I am an overseer. Call me Void.
Why? What's wrong with Lee?
Casey grabs you by the shoulder and pulls you back and says, "Do not speak his name. It can literally be a death sentence."
What?
I'm not joking. It can be a death sentence. Do not speak his name.
A death sentence for who?
You. I'm not threatening you. I'm not saying I'm going to kill you. I'm just saying that's how this works.
With the tradition, when they put on the mask, the person who previously was there is now dead. And this is the new person. They're not allowed to acknowledge that he was
Because
the previous person.
that identity is seen as potential leverage over the person to make them do things or not do things. And so they look for people that are unconnected, and then they do everything they can to make them even less connected. If you speak his name or do anything to disclose his identity, depending on who hears it, it could be a death sentence.
And I look around. We have some relative privacy.
Yeah. You guys are walking towards Kane's place. You certainly caught the eyes of his goons, but they're not close enough to hear you.
I stop everybody for a moment, and I'm like, well, I think it would help to kind of fill you in on what happened after, and I never explained to them what happened when we went in. So why don't you say what you remember up to?
Well, I mean, I remember getting shot by a trank gun.
They they, being the overseers, called Songbird in to try to convince Leopard, right?
Leopard.
Try to convince Leopard to do something.
So, well, you filled them in, right?
No, I didn't.
I know that's what you just said, that you didn't fill them in, but why didn't you fill them in?
It's been a busy couple of days.
Yeah, I can imagine.
It has, and he hasn't been very forthcoming.
He's been a dick.
You see Boyd nodding.
So, tiger stripes and all that. Look, so, all right, he told you about the laptop.
No.
So he didn't tell you about the bomb missile. Maybe it wasn't a bluff.
There was a bomb?
Okay. So, and I'm kicking myself for not seeing this, but Leopard manipulated the whole situation. He knew I wasn't going to shoot him. He knew I wasn't going to kill him. And he used that. He got himself captured. He got himself captured with some tech. And the overseer was, in the overseer's void, the
Long Shadow.
Longcast Shadow was
Thank you. Longcast Shadow, thank you. So the other masked, they were interrogating Leopard, and Leopard basically bluffed to them that he needed me to access this computer, this laptop, which is true. He did need someone from his team. He needed their biometrics, their thumbprint. And Jesus, I can remember biometrics, but I can't remember fucking dog. The point is that he duped them. He brought me in. I didn't know what it was, but he had a laptop, and it was apparently some sort of homing device for a surface-to-surface missile. Or at least so he said. Maybe it was a bomb. I don't know. He was full of shit. But it got turned on, and then things went sideways because the guard that was there with us, the actual, overseer military guard, was a turncoat who was in league with Leopard. And he
had him that deep.
He had him that deep. So this guy shot me with a tranquilizer gun, shot at Lee, and Lee got hit.
Lee kind of takes his robe and his coat and wraps his fist on his metal chest piece armor.
So, being the cunning individual that Lee was, Lee rolled under the table and pretended to succumb to the whatever drug.
At that point, there was a struggle, and Leopard decided to cut his losses, killed the guard, and Lee points at the cut on the mask and stabbed Longcast Shadow to death.
And then, because the timer was going, and that whatever detonation was going to occur, whether it was a missile or whether the laptop was a bomb, he ran. And we were going to run, and then Lee insisted that he stay.
Casey was waiting for us outside, and he nods at Casey. Leopard got away, and Lee went back inside.
They stopped the timer, prevented any sort of detonation or destruction, and then
at that point, the overseer, Lee had to order some people around. Lee had to take charge of the situation. which meant that since he couldn't do it by himself, he had to use the resources that were on hand. He marshaled people, got guards to start chasing down Leopard, got technical people involved, and basically, for some reason, people started listening to him and did what he said. The situation was resolved, and it endangered the Overseer. So the Overseer, to save face, took off Longcast Shadow's mask and then put it on Lee.
But so, I mean, I can't confirm any of that because I was out. But taking decisive action doesn't sound like Lee.
It does when his life's in danger. I've seen him do it. Think back. Do you remember what happened in Maul Carver's tent?
I do.
Well, it's neither here nor there. Lee is gone, and we have some things to do. The Overseer sent me on a mission, and there's a trouble brewing right now. What we need to do is we need to go talk to the person in charge, this Kane fellow, and we need to find out what the real situation is here. If Cape falls, St. Louis is next. There are two groups in play right now. The army on the other side of the palisade and the Carver clan. Philip has a mission that I gave him to come up with an alternate plan to mine. If you want to share that with these people to try and get some more thought into it, that might be a good idea.
So, I'm trying to... Oh, I remember the plan now. Void's plan is that to take control of the Carver clan, we give them the heir. And I look directly at Motomar.
Motomar just kind of sits there. Oh, yeah, right.
And they discussed this with you?
No. Which is the reason why we need to come up with a different plan. Because as of right now, taking control of the Carver clan and directing that force at the army that's on the other side of the palisade is our only choice at the moment. I can't think of another one
And
right
that's
now.
not an acceptable one.
Well, who's in charge of the army?
We don't know yet. We're hoping to learn something from Kane because he's met with the army. Maybe we can meet with the army after we talk with Kane, since he has connections with them. They are well armed. We don't know how many there are, but we know it's a lot. And we can't see them all from the hill.
Okay.
They want the city to surrender because they want its resources and they want to rest over the winter. And then we think next is St. Louis.
Ooh, roll your perception.
Ooh.
Hijacking the rules.
No, Mr. Carter, I got an 11.
11.
11, that's not even average.
It's not even average. Well, I will say, you notice that Motomar is carrying Lee's satchel that he keeps his mail and his books in.
Oh, I forgot about that.
So, that's where we're at now.
Did you give those to him?
Give what?
I point at the bag.
I'm just holding on to him till Lee comes back.
We need to get to work. Lee turns around, or Boyd turns around and starts walking towards the house.
I motion for Songbird and try to let Lee get a little bit out of range. There is something psychological about the mask. It's not just that he is playing a role. he nearly ordered the boats to fire on people on shore. And his hands shook. I got through to him once, enough to know that Lee is inside of him, but there's something really psychological going on.
You talked to the doctor?
No, haven't had a chance to.
I think you should talk to Dr. Marshall. I mean, she's probably the only person qualified to even broach the subject.
True. But I thought you should know that to keep an eye on it, too. I want to get Lee back. Find a way to free him from the mask. But mentally right now, he is not Lee.
Okay.
Is
And
Casey
we need
still
to be
standing
aware of
there?
it.
Or did he walk off with Void?
He would stick with Void.
All right, so then I just look up at Songbird and I go, we won't get anywhere with Casey with him.
I point over at the robots that are near the pool and say, maybe he wants a family reunion.
They look like dick men.
They're not wearing pants. I guess they're all business.
Yeah, I want to go swimming in that pool.
All right. We need to see what Kane knows. We need to deal with this situation.
Yeah.
But that's what's going in the back of my head this entire time, is how do we rescue Lee from Void?
Void's not so bad. He's a take charge kind of guy.
He's a lot more sociable this session than last.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, as you guys step onto Kane's property, step through the gates of a fence, wooden fence that's around the property, onto the manicured lawn. Of course, it's winter, so not that it'd be growing, or fall at any rate, so not to be growing anyway, but his thugs watch you guys, but they, well, one of them does approach you. He's not being threatening, and upon reaching you, says, "I assume you're here to see Mr. Kane."
Void doesn't really stop or slow down, and he says, "We're here to see Mr. Kane."
How should I announce you?
Tell him that the overseer wishes an audio. Oh, not he. What would be Void's title? It wouldn't be overseer because the overseer is.
He is actually no. It would be overseer.
Oh, it would be-
Marchand's title is actually High Overseer.
Ah, gotcha.
The two terms are kind of used loosely, but there's the High Overseer or the Overseer, which is Marchand. You are still an overseer.
Okay.
You're just not the Overseer.
Tell him the overseer is here to see him. Lowercase t.
Okay. So he jogs off ahead to the house and goes in through the front door. And as you guys reach the house, you step up the wooden porch swing, kind of a plantation-style house, and walk up to the front door, and one of his guards opens the door for you.
I stop and I look at the door. Is there a doorbell?
If there is, it would be behind one of the guards. There's a door knocker.
I look behind one of the guards. Is there a doorbell?
Yes, there is.
I reach out and press it.
Okay, you hear
Does it ring?
Yeah, you hear a multi-noted chime inside.
And he walks in.
Okay. When you walk in, the guy that ran ahead of you directs you to a sitting room or parlor that is just off of the front floor. And in this parlor, there's leather chairs, kind of low to the ground, bookshelves, piano, and there's a pipe sitting in a ashtray and pipe holder, not currently lit. And there's a well-dressed, besuited man, trimmed black hair, black mustache. And as you enter, he stands up and bows a little bit, not like low to the ground, but more kind of a courtesy sort of bow, flourish, and says, "Overseer, you grace us."
The honor is yours.
"So it is." "Please, would you like a seat, some tea?"
Refreshments for my friends. I need nothing.
"See to it." He calls one of his men, and he takes off. And
Boyd sits down. We're all kind of in. Have you decided to sell out the city yet?
he sits down, smiles a little, crosses his legs, uses his back in his chair. "That's a awfully blunt statement."
Well, time is short. They could invade at any time. Situations change and in flux. We have to deal with what we have now.
"Am I under accusation of something in particular?"
No, you're not. If you were under accusation, I don't think the Overseer would have sent anyone down. Well, he wouldn't have sent someone like me down. And we come bearing gifts.
"So I've heard. Weaponry.
Mm-hmm.
I assume that there's an army from St. Louis not far behind."
I wouldn't say not far behind. There is a situation in St. Louis. But before we get into that, I would like to know what the situation is in Cape.
"Well, there's an army that, in terms of substance, probably has the capacity to take this town. The question is only
Even with the arms and munition?
I haven't personally inventoried them, and I'm no military strategist. But if you want my opinion, probably.
What have they asked for? We've heard they've met with you.
They're willing to speak to me. What they want is the town.
The town without a fight. Which makes sense. The town with a fight is useless.
Not the first town they've taken without a fight either.
What have they taken?
Well, from what I'm to understand, a good deal of the Central South all belongs to them. And their territory is expanding, not typically by force.
Who are they?
They call themselves the Unification Army. They see the world in terms of, I guess it's something like a scar. The bombs dropped. That was the injury. What we have now is the scar tissue that formed over it. But they don't see it as a truly healed organism. And so they want to heal it.
Sometimes,
And
yeah.
what is their vision of health?
Well, how much time do we have? Because this is going to boil down to political theory.
I look over at Void. I'd like to hear the theory.
Continue.
St. Louis is functionally a command economy with some loosely Marxist ideologies, but fundamentally structured around a feudal system. An industrial feudal system, but a feudal system nonetheless. It provides order and structure, but does so at the expense of a burden on a lot of its population, or so people say. These individuals believe that neither a republic nor national unity is the cause of the world's current condition. And so they are seeking to bring about a more widespread, egalitarian, and uniform system.
So in this out of character, I'm asking, in character, does any of this sound familiar?
No.
Okay.
Well, I mean, the concept of a nation state does,
Right.
but I mean, the specific spiel doesn't.
Okay.
And how do they plan to deal with the places strong enough to resist them that won't want to give up their power? Jacksonville, St. Louis.
Jacksonville. Now, there's the elephant in the room of anyone who thinks about restructuring what we have right now. Let me tell you something about Jacksonville. There's nothing to tell. They sit behind a wall. They do nothing.
They send drones to watch us.
Precisely. Disease, famine, strife, the Carver clan. The things like the Carver clan all over this country. They simply observe it. Did you know that in the days following the war, they not only began to isolate themselves, but they actually made a concerted effort to either gather or to sabotage anything that they saw as a potential technological marvel or threat to them?
What's a bigger threat than a unified country around them?
Or a Carver clan with a lot of tanks. I understand where they're coming from. And look at it this way. They're not reaching out to assert their will over us. We can be jealous of what they have, but do we know if they're hurting us or not?
My point is, this is what they did in the beginning when they saw a threat out there. This unified army is a threat to them. They are going to have to act at some point.
They might. They haven't yet. Besides, what do we really know of the politics within Jacksonville?
That's true. It may not be the same as it was when the...
Perhaps it's harder for them to act than we understand. Or perhaps they're taking a wait and see. Why spend their own resources and take their own risks if St. Louis can do the job for them?
And if St. Louis does nothing but weaken them, it's an opportune time.
Did you know that, well, I'm sure you do, which one of you does, that the high overseer, does actually have intermittent contact with some level of representative from Jacksonville?
There's an amount of trade that goes on between St. Louis and Jacksonville.
An understanding.
Not surprised.
The question is merely how you choose to categorize St. Louis. Is it stability or is it stagnation? Does it really offer the best amount of good for the most amount of people?
So what's their pitch?
To St. Louis or to here?
To here, to Cape. I mean,
Surrender and they won't destroy it.
is it that easy though?
It was for Genghis Khan.
Surrender, they don't destroy it. Cape then gets added to their republic, gets representatives in a...
That's what I was looking for.
Gets representatives in a Senate.
Gets protection from the Carver clan.
Well.
And contributes to a new national army.
Meaning conscripts and supplies. To fight in wars that aren't ours. To take over other cities, towns.
So do you think that the zoo's activity to destabilize St. Louis, to manipulate the Carver clan, and this Unification Army, do you think that's all coincidental?
No, I don't believe it's coincidental, but I can't draw a line between the two. Until I can draw a line between the two, can't comment.
Humor mate, was that a rhetorical question?
How much are you aware of what's going on in St. Louis currently?
Quite a bit. You do know who she is, don't you?
She doesn't know who she is.
How do you...
A better question, do you know who she is? Because it sounds like you do.
Yes, but I'm fascinated by this. You really... This isn't an act. You don't know who you are.
Have you two met before?
No, but I know...
The organization.
Yes.
Yeah. One of them tried to scare me by discharging a firearm near my head. And then I got this, and I show him my scar, or at least as best I can through the hair.
That is amazing. Have you walked about the town and seen the people that are bound to crutches, that are injured with birth defects, the graves of people that have died from diseases that were once absolutely trivial matters to our society?
It's pretty common in the world right now.
So, you're walking with a woman who has literally been shot in the head and is able to tell the story.
And with a man whose leg was nearly shot off. Not a few weeks ago.
And my arm was destroyed. We've seen what their medicine can do.
Why not share this with the world?
At what price?
I don't know, but I can tell you the price that not sharing it has cost.
It would all go to rich assholes.
Oh, I don't have it. That's what you're implying?
No, I'm saying if
How
we
rich is
give it
she?
to the world, it would go to rich assholes.
How rich is she?
If she has money, she doesn't have access to it.
What is wealth in this world? Our friend Joe was wealthy, although you wouldn't think it by looking at him. He didn't struggle to find food. He had a business and employees.
I hear people measure it in years.
Or how many babies they survive.
So you've encountered the group. You've seen what their medicine can do. Have you seen more than 3 of them?
Odd question.
We've encountered 3 of this organization. Songbird, Leopard, and Rat.
So what I think is that they have this advanced medicine, which is wonderful, and that we'll spend any amount to get them, to get this medicine and to get this technology. Except, I don't think that they manufacture it. I don't even think they have a warehouse full of it. I think that they have the promise of an idea, if they're even offering anything. But let's start drawing some lines here. Jacksonville has a wall around it. It doesn't have a line to anything, so let's just forget it. The army across the wall there has to be in some way connected to this zoo thing, because they're operating in concert. Their plans are initiating at the exact same time toward the exact same goals.
Leopard specifically said that the world that they found themselves in was not a world that they wanted to live in, and they wanted to make a safe place for themselves.
The people that are across the wall are not those people, and nods to Songbird. Equipment's different. The people are different. The level of health is different.
But the
They're a
world they're
conscripted
trying
army.
to build would fit the world that they've asked for.
If you have enough wealth or resources, it doesn't matter how many you are, you can buy what you need, like an army. So, we have some plans in place that are taking care of the situation in St. Louis. Hopefully it works out. Part of the overall strategy, though, is that Cape must survive and stay in the hands of St. Louis.
It's no short order.
Well, I get the sense that you're a person who... I don't mean this as an insult. You're not loyal. You're pragmatic. And I don't mean that as in someone hands you a briefcase full of wealth and then you sell the town out. If what they are offering is better than what St. Louis is offering, and again, not a briefcase full of wealth, but in what they can provide, health, services, protection, is obviously a better deal. And I don't blame you for turning your head at that. So the question is, what do they really want? And what can they really provide? And is what St. Louis provides better?
I think your read of the situation is close, but not quite accurate.
Well, I've only been here for 5 hours. Everybody's a crowd.
Yeah. Carl probably just got home for anyone listening to this. All right, so I'm not a pragmatist, not in the philosophical sense. Believe it or not, I'm a humanitarian. Did you know? No, of course you didn't. You only were 5 hours. Things here have gotten so desperate and so insane that there are 2 family farms in particular, one of which is actually west of mine and has been hit by the Carvers a few times. It's far enough out that we weren't able to do anything. We, being the town, weren't able to do anything before the hit was made. And they've suffered a bit at their hands. Perhaps more than a bit. I'm understating out of courtesy. There's another family farm that is closer to town, much safer, and the family there just has a way of sort of picking up the children, the extras the town has, the orphans, the ne'er-do-wells, whatever. And out of all of this came 4, well, to me they were children, that were so absolutely desperate to be meaningful, to be powerful, to be agents of their own will within this world, that they took over an abandoned auto maintenance shop and fancied themselves mercenaries. And I paid them no small amount of money to go on an expedition away from here into Tennessee, escorting some people across the borders that used to be there and out of areas of concern, largely to get them out of the way of this. Because so long as they're busy out there, they're not going to take a worse contract from someone who's less humanitarian and die up here. Now, what in a sane world would drive 4 teenagers with so much opportunity before them in one of the better towns, I suppose, that is left in the world, to do something so absolutely asinine, unless the world had left them feeling absolutely meaningless and powerless? And incidentally, in this insanity, they've actually demonstrated quite the opposite. The Carver clan used to be under the rule of a different woman, and somehow they managed to get into the camp and kill her. Strange story. But they required some protection because in their state of agitation, one of them got involved in a tussle with the mayor's nephews and things got complicated. Now, is it possible that someone like me, who has the means, who has wealth, who has the things that wealth can buy, people, influence, and so forth, would choose to use that for something other than merely supplementing himself, would actually look at the world and say, what is a truly better place that I can leave to the generations that come after me?
Yeah,
So
I'm looking around on his bookshelves. What kind of books does he have up there?
A lot of Daniel Steele.
a lot of Daniel Still total, nothing but bodice rippers. And Lady Chatterley's Lover. No, you notice it is a lot of books of philosophy, a lot of books of political philosophy, political thought, political theory. I actually, at one point, and I don't recall all of them, but I actually made a list of some of the authors that he was preferring, and I don't remember them now, of course, now it's game time. But those kinds of books,
So,
history books.
Void definitely got one thing wrong about you. I can tell you're not just a pragmatist, you're an idealist. The only question is, what is the idea that drives you?
I would hope that'd be evident by now.
It's becoming so, yes. For what it's worth, the new Maw Carver went the way of the old Maw Carver. And I believe we saw what your four did to that camp.
Insanity. Not what they did. The fact that it even occurred, I mean. But bravo to them for doing it. They were prepared to go out and take agency from the world, and they did. In an amazing way. To one of the most horrifying groups of people that have ever walked the earth. They didn't strike a death blow, but they plucked out one of its eyes. They left it forever limping because of what they did.
There are some in that camp that are still upset that they didn't come and raise St. Louis for... Or there are some in that camp that are still upset that they didn't come and raise Cape for it.
Oh, I have no doubt. I have no doubt. The defenses you see to the south, they are normally kept to the west. We see more than our fair share of attacks by the Carver clan. Some more organized than others, some larger than others. Plenty of probing raids, or, I don't know, perhaps they use us for some kind of coming-of-age ritual, or to prove something to each other while drunk. I'm not really sure, but it's not uncommon for us to trade a few bullets with them, and it's not unheard of for us to trade more than a few bullets with them.
I know we don't have time for personal questions, but I'm going to ask one anyway. Do you know of the Green Farm?
Farmstead north of here. I know it exists. What did you want?
I was curious if anyone from there was in town. Any of them had left.
Not that I know of. That's quite a ways north of here. Why would they come here?
Closest town?
I would think that close they would retreat into St. Louis if they were going to retreat from...
The Carvers have wiped them out.
It's unfortunate.
None of them went towards St. Louis that I could tell. I hoped maybe somebody had survived.
If they did, they didn't come here. Or if they did, they certainly never announced where they were from.
I look over at Void. Sorry for the sidetrack, but I had to know.
Who's in charge of the army on the other side of the wall?
The man you're looking for is a General Cargill.
Does he have a large support staff, or is it a one-man show?
Oh, he has a fairly significant support staff. While he's here personally, he is running a rather substantial army.
How many do you estimate are over there? What's the size of his force?
My best estimate, maybe 5,000 men.
How many men are here
In total or in fighting condition?
in fighting condition?
Probably a pretty similar number. Not half so well equipped or organized, but nonetheless, probably a fairly similar number.
If he's taken most of the Central South, he has to have armies elsewhere throughout to be able to hold it.
The field pieces they have will lose us the fight. How long did they give you?
We have not set a timetable yet.
What's your sense?
They're waiting. I don't know on what. But my sense is they're waiting for something to change. They know that a town facing this will blink eventually, one way or another. Either Cape will fire, or Cape will open its doors.
Or the Carver clan will attack Cape from one side and they will attack from the other. Or the Carver clan will get close enough to scare Cape into capitulating. I have a theory that they are manipulating the Carver clan currently. And the Carver clan is making some moves, but I can't draw any connections.
Well, if you are correct, from what I've heard from my own observers, Carvers are actually moving northeasterly.
Where would that, out of character, where would that take them? St. Louis?
St. Louis.
That would cut off Cape from St. Louis.
Yeah. That is the other theory, too, that the Carvers are potentially heading up to St. Louis, which is the plan that we have in motion there is to try to sort things in St. Louis to be ready to meet the Carvers, which is why, to answer your original question, is no, there is not an army behind us that will be here shortly. Because if we're successful, they will be meeting the Carvers.
If you're not successful, the presence of you might rally the people to a sense of loyalty to St. Louis. They fight, and in all likelihood they will lose. But in the process, they will do some harm to this army, and they will take steam out of it before it reaches St. Louis. Or it will force it to pause and to regather its numbers and to reinforce from the south before they continue their northward march. I don't claim to know the mind of the High Overseer, but have you contemplated the possibility, Overseer, that you may simply be here for the very purpose of being buried?
It has come to mind, yes.
And can you, in conscience, use Cape and all of its people as simply a temporarily dragnet for a force of that size to save the people to the north who are morally willing to throw away the lives here to protect themselves? It's certainly an equation that gives me pause.
I won't speak for him, but I pushed for bringing these weapons here to save Cape. I pushed for coming here to save Cape, but I'm not a player in St. Louis's machine.
If you arm Cape better, there are only two possible outcomes. Assuming Cape uses the weapons. One, Cape wins. Checkmate. Or secondly, Cape puts up a fight of a scale that requires a higher proportioned response.
What we've seen here already distributing weapons isn't going to save Cape. Now that we've seen the army, now that we know the size of it, not going to bullshit you. You know that's not going to save Cape. If Cape wins, you're right. They're going to come back with more. We need a solution that doesn't involve Cape going to war with this army.
But it sounds like you've already come to that conclusion.
I don't want to see Cape burn, if that's what you mean.
No, what I mean is that it sounds like there's no love lost between you and the powers of St. Louis.
It's a complicated relationship.
Void. If St. Louis falls, what becomes the biggest power in the area?
The largest power in the area of St. Louis falls will be one of the 4 players in this game who is the strongest as the end of the result.
So, Cape.
The 4 players are the Zoo, this army, the Carver clan, and what's left of St. Louis. And I don't mean the machine, I mean everything. Because if the first 3 destroy themselves to meet their goal, St. Louis, again, the whole, will recoalesce into the play.
And as much as I think the Zoo is in charge of this army, if they're not, then they're going to want the Carvers in St. Louis and the army to all hit each other to weaken themselves.
So, we've met?
I've seen you. I didn't talk to you.
Did you know Rat? Or
Okay.
Leopard?
Knew them both.
What did they
How
offer
well?
you?
Surprisingly little.
What did they want?
Information. They wanted to discuss more than anything else. They were talkers. Endless talkers.
Were there any others?
Not that I met.
What did they talk about?
The future. The past.
Did they tell you where they came from?
They're from a abandoned space station. Its proper name, if you're curious, is Olympus B2. B2 is its more official designation, but yeah, people name things, and so it got the name Olympus.
Too bad Lee's dead. He'd have to admit that he's wrong.
We already know there's... we didn't know the name
But
of
you
it,
make
but we
him
knew it.
Did they give you any hint or inclination as to what their objective was?
If you're asking about the what, you're seeing it all around you. If you're asking about the why, no. Or the how, perhaps even more interestingly, no.
The house.
The how we're seeing all around us.
Yeah. I've got a pretty good idea about how this happens, but
Mr. Kane, you're a study of history. You know what the world was like before. I kind of point to his bookshelves. What would you do if everything you knew of the world was the way it was prior to the bombs, and you came back and stepped off into the world we see now?
He'd put it back the way it was. Or at least as close to it as you could get.
You've got your why.
well, and judging by your home, you're well on your way.
I am, but you still have this idea that because I'm wealthy and powerful that I must also be selfish.
No, I don't. I don't think that you're selfish at all. I think this place is a symbol, and it represents how things could be. Void, I think his decision's already been made. I think that you're wasting your time here, and we should go. That's just one person's opinion.
That depends on what our time here is supposed to do. Our time here was to find information, and we have.
Yeah, here's what. Well, you know what? There's no need in me having this conversation right now. But I don't think that Mr. Kane is a bad man. I think that Mr. Kane's going to do what he needs to do for Cape, and I think that just based on my observations here, my gut tells me that what he thinks is best for Cape is siding with the Unification Army.
That's why he's got all the goons to protect him.
Well, now he has St. Louis's guns.
I think you overestimate me. I don't control the military here, and I don't control the weapons being offloaded right now.
And let's not forget, it's capitulating is only good for Cape potentially if St. Louis loses.
It's the worst possible outcome if they win.
Yes, St. Louis would raise this city to the ground
Well,
to make a point.
Oh,
they wouldn't raise the city. It would just
The resources
kill
are
every
important.
third man, rape every third woman.
Right.
I mean, it would be pretty horrible.
Which is a pretty, if I were a person of influence or power in Cape, that to me would be quite a motivating factor to oppose St. Louis if I knew that that was a potential punishment.
And I look over it, and I believe you think of the long picture. You wouldn't capitulate unless you thought St. Louis was going to lose.
That's an interesting theory.
I still think we need to talk to somebody from that army. I don't think we'll get to any agreement. I can't look back at you with this. I just think, again, information.
The sides, you've got 5,000 versus 5,000. 5,000 people who are better trained, better armed, versus 5,000 people who are dug in, who have supplies, who've been recently rearmed.
And fighting for their homes.
And fighting for their homes. Plus, I think that there's probably a significant amount of harassment that could be done.
Gentlemen, if there is a fight, it'll be a terrible fight for both sides, with many people dead.
Yes.
And it is, I wouldn't say it would end in a stalemate, but it would be the next thing. The sides are too evenly matched. We need to make a decision here and now.
This ought to be good.
Which side is this city going to? That's the only decision we need to make. Which side, what flag raises in this city when we walk out of this house? Once we make that decision, then we can take steps to push one way or the other.
Why are we making that decision? Shouldn't Mr. Kane and the mayor and the people of Cape make that decision?
Void is a duly chosen representative of St. Louis at this point. He is going to play a factor in this whether he wants to or not.
Speaking candidly, there really isn't a decision to make. I make it.
Well, all right then. Void, what's your decision?
I'd like to hear people's plans.
Void, if Lee were among us, how would he advise us? He doesn't want to see anyone get hurt.
Lee wouldn't make a decision. He would manipulate you into making the decision for him.
Right, and then fucking criticize you for the next 3 weeks about how you made the wrong decision. Bull!
Yes, but I didn't ask what decision he would make. I asked what he would advise.
Kane lights his pipe.
Popcorn comes out and starts eating it.
Those are two very different questions. Lee would be advising us and telling us things that you wouldn't if he were here.
Lee's dead. I have my decision in mind. I would like to hear arguments for or against flying the flag one way or another.
So, Void, representative of St. Louis. Obviously, you want this place. You are obligated to have this place fly the flag of St. Louis and remain loyal, yes?
Surprisingly, not necessarily, but generally you are correct. I can make the decision that we fly the flag of the Unification Army to spare the town if I had a plan for taking the city back. Think of it as a long-term investment. I don't necessarily have that plan right now, which is why I'd like to hear some ideas. Because right now, my decision is to fly the flag of St. Louis, to fly the flag of the Three Rivers. But we need to save the city. Because the decision to fly the flag of St. Louis with the end result of being this city is a smoking crater, that's not the decision I'm going to make. So let's hear some plans. I already told you mine. And if no one can give me a plan, that is what I'm going to enact.
If this city fights, like you said, it's going to be a stalemate, and a lot of people are going to die. There's going to be fighting somewhere. A lot of people are going to die. Because we have armies. And that's what armies do.
Damn it, I know how Lee would just fucking walk you around all day to get you to this point that he wants to make. Oh my god. Oh, Lee is exhausting.
I tried to get Lee out a little bit.
He's always fighting it.
Yep.
I don't get it. If there was an army here ready to take Cape, why would they let us come down here with guns? Why wouldn't they have tried to stop us or use their big guns to shoot our boats? They know that if St. Louis is sending a supply, why not?
Perhaps they have poor intelligence. Remember, we came up with this plan like almost 48 hours ago.
Okay.
And we moved on it quickly.
We came up with the plan to bring these weapons down here before we had permission to do so. Before we had the overseer involved.
Well, and I think Duchess was going to try and make some money on the side on this too.
I hear you. I'm just saying that if
But once they got wind of it, why didn't they blow us out of the water?
If I'm gonna send an army, then I'm gonna be on the lookout for a heavily escorted.
You'd think it would be something of note. Yes.
True. They haven't sent, as Kane, they haven't sent anybody to speak since we arrived?
No.
To determine what we're here for?
Do they have any boats?
If they do, they've not employed them. I'm sure they do. The Mississippi River carries from here all the way out to the ocean. I'm sure they have boats somewhere down there.
Right. Why not blockade further upriver to prevent exactly this situation?
Void looks at Philip. River pirates are upriver.
The river pirates back us.
So you have two generally equal forces. They're +1, -1 in certain areas. Which means that we have to either remove an advantage that they have or give Cape an advantage that they didn't have before. One of the ways that we can take away one of their advantages is by taking the one thing that will guarantee they win the fight, their field pieces. Or we could find somehow armaments, and I don't mean rifles and pistols, for Cape.
How many field pieces do they have?
How many did we see?
Cape or the other army?
Other army.
You saw half a dozen.
That's 6. How many does Cape have?
2. And capes are also smaller.
Yep. Is there any old military bases in the area that could have possibly functional equipment that hasn't been looted?
Well, you should ask about that. These kids, in one of their forays, I'm led to understand, actually found some military facility that somehow Jacksonville missed. And I don't know precisely what they found there. But as much as they tried to hide it, well, they are kids, they came back with at least 2 working particle rifles.
If he wasn't wearing a mask, Boyd's like,
Well, if that was there,
and I completely forgot that happened too.
I didn't.
I was reaching. I forgot that happened in the last game.
Yeah, I didn't forget at all. I remember what was there.
So where is this place?
I couldn't tell you, but since you have the authority to search their premises for any clues, I can tell you where they were headquartered.
Gentlemen, of the 3 plans on the table, unspeakable, hurting them, helping Cape. Let's help Cape. Let us try, Mr. Kane, if this sounds like a good idea to you, I would definitely appreciate your input on this. Giving Cape teeth that are big enough to make this army think they should just go around and not a shot fired.
To wage war, you have to maintain supply lines, things that can't always be well protected. You can't have a substantial enemy force in your back lines, so Cape would have to also convince them of something else. Its neutrality. That it's being simply taken off the field. It's a part out of play.
I will say that it actually fits within my mandate. My mandate was not to rally the forces of Cape to attack them.
I think I understand you. A little more than I did when you walked through the door.
I've been told I'm dislikable.
I don't think that you are. I think there are people that are forcing you to be.
You didn't know, Lee.
And I think maybe that's something I can help you with. But another conversation for another time.
Yes. I'm anxious to see what their base looks like and what clues they had. Because that type of technology, particle...
What does
Who
that
kno-
mean?
You seen lightning?
Yeah.
Imagine if you had a rifle that fired that.
It's magic.
We'll go with yes.
I've seen magic. It's cool.
Now, what if you had a whole town full of people with magic? Wouldn't mess with that town, would you?
Nope.
And who knows what else is at that base?
And all of this buys time for St. Louis to enact its plan. So, what's his last name?
Kane.
Kane. Okay. So, Mr. Kane, would you be able to subtly spread the word that pardon me, sorry about burping there. Can you spread the word that St. Louis is not abandoning Cape, and that Cape is standing? Subtly, no official announcements.
I think it would only be prudent to spread the first half of that message, because if I spread the second half, that it intends to stand and this decision's made, expect a rain of artillery shells.
Fair enough. Do you think Cape has been infiltrated?
Oh, I know it's been infiltrated.
Your security is atrocious, by the way.
My security was told to be atrocious.
Can we make the security not be atrocious?
At my house? Certainly.
What about in the town?
That was a matter that you will have to take up with none other than me. I can make my recommendations, but the mayor and I don't always agree.
If I had the mayor arrested right now, would that cause a revolt in the town? What if I were to put you in charge?
I think in a time of war, people would understand.
Casey, can you assist Mr. Kane in making that happen?
Are you sure would have more power being in charge than you have behind the scenes pulling the strings now?
Oh, would I have more power? Yes. You should be asking a different question of, do I want more power?
In times of war, things are necessary. If the mayor stood down security, allowed the town to be infiltrated, lowered the defenses...
Oh, it's not been infiltrated. I mean, I may have been infiltrated by spies. We're a trading town. People come and go all the time. But I think what's infiltrating this town is something far more insidious than people. It's an ideology.
What ideology?
The ideology that Cape can have some degree of self-determination, that they can have individual rights, that they would exist in a very different sort of world. It's
The sort of world that the Unification Army is promoting.
precisely.
Do you think that the mayor is owned by the Unification Army?
No, the mayor is far too insecure and attached to what power he holds, and there's a certain amount of corruption, not political corruption, just
Honest graft.
yes, that's going on there. So no, I don't think he's in league with them or has sold out anything to them. If he had, quite frankly, the earthworks and such might have been a bit slower getting made, or I'm sure he could have come up with some excuse to have never had a stalemate in the first place, or hell, agreed to switch sides the moment they rolled up. All it would have taken is a moment of hesitation in the defensive perimeter, and they'd had the city.
I also noticed that the defenses, the people manning the defenses are tired. They're getting worn down. They're not being rotated enough.
We don't have enough to rotate them.
I believe that they could sleep, that we could have minimal defenses set up, and that once an alarm is raised. Because if artillery shells start raining down, it doesn't matter how many men are on the fence. But a touchy man with no sleep is likely to fire at a sound or a sight that might spark a war.
I'll be sure this is shared with the people who make those decisions.
Do you believe that I should take the mayor out of power? Is he a threat?
No. He's no threat. Whether you choose to take him out of power is entirely your decision. But no, he's no threat to you. I think he's a man insecure and afraid, but he's not a...
He's no threat to me. Is he a threat to the town? I do not matter in this equation. It is the town that's the mandate.
I don't think he's a threat to the town so long as the militia remains well organized.
Who runs the militia?
Well, mostly the sheriff does. We use sheriff in a bit of an older sense of the word, but...
Well, please share our thoughts with those in charge. We will start pursuing getting Cape some teeth. Gentlemen, is there anything else?
Would you mind if I stayed back and had a personal conversation?
Lee kind of makes a motion with his hand. Gets up and walks out the door. Lee, Void.
Void, right.
Oh my god, I'm gonna get shot.
You're going to have to shoot yourself.
I know, right?
Yeah, I got you.
Oh, I'm sure you do.
I wait for everyone to kind of leave the room. Mr. Kane, what do you think of their views? The Unification Army? This is a conversation that will not go back to the rest.
I think they're incredibly attractive.
They're handsome men.
And some women.
The man below that mask had no love for St. Louis, other than the stability that it gave. That man is being stolen from us by that mask. Though he's in there fighting it, I can tell. If you can help free him of any of that in the future, I would
What if I could
appreciate that.
at least offer you an opportunity to break him of that mask? Would you use it?
Yes.
Then I need you to do two things. I need you to separate your savage friend from the group for a bit. No harm will come to him. And I need you to separate the woman from the group for a bit. No harm will come to her. But there are people that might appear from the shadows to discuss some things with them. I think that the mask he wears might hold less sway over him if he understood the situation a bit better.
If we give Cape these teeth that I hope we're about to give them, the other half of the equation that wasn't mentioned that's obvious to me is that type of teeth also will say something to St. Louis.
If you give this city those kinds of weapons, it doesn't take a genius to see that within short order, this town is going to declare its independence. Maybe not this mayor. The next one or the one after. Eventually somebody. Somebody will declare its independence. And with those kinds of weapons, it will become, even if it lacks the numbers in the industry, it will become a counterbalance to St. Louis and the region.
That's what I assume. Whatever happens with all of this, I think St. Louis needs a counterbalance. And I have to say, these ideas are awfully appealing to me as well, after seeing what St. Louis is like.
I've not been able to travel to the south myself. It would be too obvious of a trip. But I have sent people. And I can tell you that what they're building there, it's authentic and perfect. Yes.
That was my biggest question, because ideas are ideas, but that doesn't mean the people in power actually hold those ideas.
They have a Senate. The people send representatives and have say. What technology they have, there are institutions that they are building that are sending them out. They are, to this world, much what Rome or Charlemagne were to theirs.
Rome fell when it got too big.
I was going to say, the precursor to the Dark Ages.
Thank you for the conversation. It's given me a lot to think about. I hope we can find these teeth, because I want a better world for the next generation,
And if
more than most.
And if something should change your mind about all of this, say a very, very simple suggestion. You can always sail south.
It's nice to meet you, Mr. Kane.
And you.
I love your chicken.
Yeah, I'm raising it right now.
I'm just going to choke it.
I had to catch up with the others.
Okay. So, back outside the house, the toughs don't hassle you guys. They just let you walk past.
Yeah, they don't. Lee's heading towards the... Well, Lee asks where the automotive repair shop is and heads that way.
Okay. So,
Or Void does.
Right.
Yeah, I'm going to get myself shot.
okay. So,
Follow the smell of apple muffin.
I was going to say, so you guys begin making your way toward from where you were on the central west part of town towards the southern, not the far southern edges, so you're not on the front lines where this would be, but the southern neighborhoods of Cape Girardeau. And as you walk through the streets, the houses here, much in the same way that the St. Louis population, well, in St. Louis, really, the population does taper off a bit, but more than that, just becomes worse looking. That's really not the case here. The people are a bit more evenly distributed, but the population does outstrip what the town could actually support. So there are a fair number of unused or looted or salvaged or abandoned buildings. And in the midst of all of these, you find a little neighborhood, and there's obviously several houses there. One of which there is some smoke coming from the chimney, and you can tell it's a cooking fire because you smell the most delicious smell of freshly baked goods being made. In fact, there's a wooden sign hanging from it that advertises baked goods being sold from this house.
I don't know. There's a good baker in Herman.
And not that, and just a door or two down from that is what used to be a Jiffy Lube.
I head towards the Jiffy Lube.
Okay. So when you get to the Jiffy Lube,
I stop in the bakery.
Okay. So you stop the bakery. It's a house that is being used as a bakery. So the door is currently closed. Do you?
Well, I knock. I mean, is it closed?
No, you don't get that sense. Okay, so you knock on the door and you hear a woman's voice from inside. Just a moment, and some scurrying around, and the door opens, and there's a middle-aged woman standing there, and she opens the door, and upon seeing you, almost face to face with a skull, she's like, "Sweet Jesus!" And she takes a step back, and she's like, "Oh my gosh, am I supposed to call you Your Majesty or
Overseer would be fine.
This is just a humble bakery. I assure you,
that is precisely
we're not quartering any soldiers or
what I need right now is a humble bakery.
It's at your disposal.
Oh no. He takes some silver out. He goes, I'd like you to feed my friends here. We skipped breakfast, and this one hasn't eaten in 2 days.
By all means, please come in. Sit down in the kitchen. Here, I'll grab some extra chairs. Make yourselves at home. I can.
Motorman, help.
I'll get those. Here.
Okay. So in the kitchen, there's a wooden table, and she's bringing some wooden chairs of various make and putting them around the table. And she places in front of you guys. It's not pocket ham, but she just plays some. She plays some warmed up cuts of ham in front of you guys. She brings out freshly baked, like a barley bread. She's then brings out the piece de resistance, the muffins with fresh cooked apple inside of them, and she feeds you guys quite well, as lavishly as you're going to get in this kind of setting. But it's a little house on the prairie sort of feast.
Can Casey fit in her front door, or does he wait outside?
No, he can.
Okay. So when I catch up, I wouldn't realize you were in there, so I go straight to the Jiffy Lube.
Okay. You go to the Jiffy Lube. Door was shattered years ago and has been boarded up and reinforced with a little bit of metalwork. It's currently locked.
I kind of look around for another entrance.
Unless you can jack a window or something, if that's what you're looking for. There is a back door also locked.
Yeah, I'll jack a window.
Okay. All right. Here's my question, because the answer is, of course, yes, you will get through a window. So weather is not a question. The question is, how much damage are you prepared to do? Do you want to try and do this by jimmying a lock, or is it just you're going to take a brick and?
I'll try jimmying a lock first. I don't want to damage the building if I don't have to.
Okay. Give me. I'll let you choose between smarts and agility.
Definitely smarts.
And do you have any relevant skill to this or fault for this?
Would mechanics as a incompetency count against me?
Yes. So that's going to be 3d6. Pick the worst two.
All right. So 310.
Okay. No dice on doing it the easy way.
All right. The hard way.
Okay. You look around, find a bit of brick or cinder block or something, and you take out a window.
All right.
By the way, you guys would probably hear something shattering while you're inside the woman's bakery.
Shit's going down.
Can you go over and deal with that?
I just grab 4 muffins and stick one in my mouth, kind of look at the lady, go, meow, and
All
walk
right.
out.
I'm going to step away from the table.
I go to the front door and unlock it.
Yeah. Get my
Okay.
get my SMG out from under my sweet new SMG.
Yep.
Get my SMG out and follow Motomar.
Okay.
I'm going to sneak up onto the Jiffy Lube knife in hand.
Okay.
I unlock the door and open it wide open and look
opens the
around.
door.
Hey, come on in.
Damn it, Phil, I almost stabbed you.
Why?
Because you're making a ruckus.
Yeah.
I don't have a key.
We thought people were stealing shit.
I kind of look around. There's a bus in here. Why is there a bus in here?
What's a bus? Is that a bus?
That's a bus.
The building exists in 3 basic areas. There's a garage area that has a bus in it. There's what would have been a lobby or customer service area, and then there's also an upper area that probably back in the day would have been used for storage. Think of it kind of like it's sort of like a lofted area.
The mezzanine.
Yeah.
How did I beat you here?
Oh, we stopped for here. Have a muffin.
It's piping
is
hot,
good.
still steaming.
It's right down the street. Void bought it. It's on his dime.
I'll be right back.
Okay.
I go get a muffin
Okay.
and ham.
Void is, leaning there against the counter. And so, who lived next door?
Oh, I don't know if you could say they lived there or not. There were 4 kids that, I think they fancied themselves soldiers of fortune. Good kids, maybe putting themselves in a bit too much danger. They're not caught up in some kind of trouble, are they?
No, ma'am. No, they're not.
Because if they are, I'd like to put in the best word for them. They are well-meaning. I mean, maybe they've made some mistakes, but they're always well-meaning. We're always respectful. Love this town.
Did they live there?
Oh, sometimes. They stayed there sometimes. They were actually from, 3 of them were from were either the actual or adopted children of a family that has a farm on the outside of town. And then one of them, he came from a rougher place. But they stayed there a lot. Not all the time, but a lot.
Is that the only building that they had?
Yeah. At least that I know of. If they had some other secret hideout, well, it's a secret to me, too.
And you said they came and go a lot. Did they bring anything back with them?
Oh, sure. I mean, I couldn't tell you what. I try not to be a nosy neighbor, but whenever I heard them over there, I'd always make sure they were at least well fed. Because you know how boys can be. They get busy and don't always think about things like that.
The things that they brought back, did they bring back boxes of things, big things, small things?
Oh, typically small things. I mean, I don't recall them bringing back. I mean, if you mean like a horse cart full of things, no, I don't recall them ever seeing them doing that.
Well, is there anything else that you know about them that you could tell me?
If you want to know a little about their lives, sure. I mean, I guess it depends on what you want to know.
Well, the adventures, we'll call them, that they went on, we're looking to track down one of those adventures. We don't know. Do you know if they kept a diary or maps or talked about where they went or talked about what they did?
I don't know if they kept maps. I was only in there a few times and never snooped, but I do know that as part of their work that they kept contracts.
Where did they keep the contracts at?
Oh, I don't know. I could just know that they had them. I can't imagine they travel with them, so they would probably be in that building somewhere.
I have a muffin in my mouth at this point. Probably upstairs in the office.
Well, ma'am, thank you. We're going to have to search their building, but we won't destroy anything or try to damage anything.
Oh, I'm sure they'll appreciate that. If there's anything I can do to help, please let me know. And if they are in some kind of trouble, I really do beg of you. They were good meaning and loyal. They were not. I mean, if
they're in no trouble whatsoever. They may have just found something in the past that we need to look into, unbeknownst to them. They're off doing something else somewhere else. So, how much do I owe you?
Oh, nothing. No trouble at all.
Out of character, about how much would this be worth?
Honestly, probably about, it's not much, like 2 silver pieces would cover it. I mean,
I give her 3 silver pieces.
Okay.
I lay it on the table.
I mean, while the food was certainly good and fresh, there was nothing uniquely expensive about its ingredients.
And he lays the silver on the table and he turns around. Do you know anyone who needs any and he like grabs his leg and he just like makes a fist, and then he is walking like his head down towards you out the door, and he's like rubbing his hand, and he kind of like pushes past you.
Casey follows behind him.
I look over at Songbird.
Oh, I didn't come back.
Oh, you didn't come back? Okay.
I stayed with Motomar at the Jiffy Lube.
All right.
I was just waiting for an opportunity to snoop.
Okay.
Okay, so back at the Jiffy Lube, are you guys doing anything before the other?
They're lighting it on fire.
Okay, it's burned down.
It's ashes. They're swimming in it. They found the bodies underneath.
Yeah, I'm looking for weapons.
The lube is on fire.
Oh, they're getting some lube, all right.
There's some lube over here.
A 55-gallon drum of lube. What the hell are we going to do with that?
And by very curious, this is based on a real place. At least at the time that we ran this campaign, there really was a Jiffy Lube in that part of Cape Girardeau.
Yeah, I'd start searching around looking for, lockers, cabinets,
All right.
desk drawers, that sort of thing.
Frodor, this isn't really rangering.
Sure.
2d6 plus perception. Let's see what you find. So
14.
14. Okay. As you look around, you find they have an old ammo box that is full of a surprising amount of coins.
Really?
Yeah, they actually. You're not sure if they knew or didn't know exactly how much wealth they were sitting on, but it is full of a strangely significant amount of wealth.
All right.
You do find some odd bits and pieces. It actually looks like some of them were sleeping in the bus. The others, it looks like, were staying upstairs on that loft. They had put together some things to brace the doors and windows. Not been perfect, obviously. There's a few scattered kind of excess weapons, most of which are not remarkable. But in searching around, since you are specifically looking for hidden things, you do eventually, I don't remember where you guys hit it, but you do eventually feel, so I'll just put it somewhere, as you're searching through the bus, up on the underside of one of the seats, there is something that's on hooks there. Like, I don't mean hooks like it's hanging down, but hooks like it's up and over, like an internal shelf. And when you pull it out, you're holding a sleek black rifle that doesn't look like any rifle you've seen. This does not have a bolt, does not have any kind of action to it.
While Songbird's doing that, Wodamar's in the bus itself, like pushing down on the seats and seeing how springy they are. And this could be like a mobile cat house. And then turn around. What you got?
That was the original plan.
What you got there?
And it's marked, by the way, with the seal of the United States Army.
I think that this is a particle rifle.
So that's what they look like. We'll shoot some shit. Let's see how it works.
How about we don't do that?
Okay.
One, I don't know how it works. I mean, I assume it operates under the same principle of every, gun.
Oh, yeah.
Right. But I don't know if it's charged.
No. Yeah.
I don't know if it has ammo. I don't know if it still functions. I don't know if it would be dangerous to use. Now, this is only a year after the events of the previous Skies of Glass campaign.
Correct.
Okay. So I mean, I don't know. I don't know if it's still functional. But more importantly, we don't want to tip our hand.
Oh, right.
Yeah, so we don't want to discharge a particle rifle and then whatever observers or scouts that they have, be like, somebody shot a particle rifle into the air.
Makes sense.
Yeah, let's not do that.
I know it was Thor. It's cool.
Yeah.
But,
I said,
Void comes walking in.
but second, I don't want people to know that we found it.
oh, okay.
So before anybody shows up, let me give you your cut of the coins.
Oh, yeah. Here, just put it all in Lee's bag.
Yeah. Fair enough. I'm going to take a few coins out for myself and then just put the rest of them in Lee's bag.
It was I don't remember the exact amount.
Well, this place is abandoned, right?
No.
There ain't nobody living here.
At the moment.
It's like, this would be like going to any place off hours and calling it abandoned.
Look at all this money they left in the cash register. This bar's crazy.
Well, okay.
Look at all of my booze.
It's 9:30 on a Saturday. This bank's abandoned.
I honestly thought, based on the description of the door and everything, that it was
Okay,
abandoned.
Motomar, roll me 2d6.
Well, hold on. If it's not, I don't want to take anything that doesn't belong to me.
Too late.
Like a particle rifle.
So what I do is I reach in the ammo box and I start pulling money out, and then I reach in and I grab a piece of paper and I kind of out of Lee's bag and kind of rip it out of the book
Monomar.
and leave a little note.
Roll 2d6.
It just occurred to me that they still live here.
6.
You have 600 silver pieces.
And that's just a handful.
What do you mean?
They still live here. This place isn't abandoned. They still live here. That's their money.
They left their bus.
You cannot deny that.
All right, I took 600. I'll put 300 back. Okay.
Yeah,
The coins that I had taken, I put back.
Okay.
I look longingly at the particle rifle. There's an obvious internal struggle going on. And I put the particle rifle back where I found it.
Okay.
Void comes walking in the front door.
Okay.
And has anyone found any contracts? Apparently they ran a business.
I think they just worked with hard money.
Okay.
When I come in, I go upstairs. 'Cause
Okay.
that's where I was guessing the office was.
Yeah, you go upstairs and you do find a drawer that has a random assortment of paperwork in it. But in digging around in there, you do start finding contracts. And do you remember what specifically the contract was that led you guys to that place?
We were escorting. We were escorting a man.
Oh, that's right, and he wanted to go there.
Yep.
Okay, so you do find a contract that describes escorting an individual to that location, and you also do, and then there are descriptions there of the locale.
Void,
Yes.
let me show you something on the bus real quick.
Is this where you wedgie me? No, he doesn't say that. He's like, what'd you find?
I'll get the particle rifle back out.
Okay.
I think that we're looking for these, and I show him the particle rifle.
I come out with the paper. I think I found the contract we're looking for.
Well, excellent.
Yeah, Motomar and I were going to salvage this facility until it occurred to me that they probably still live here. So I'm going to put this back now. Unless you instruct me otherwise.
Do you want me to instruct you otherwise? Because I don't care about these people.
I put it back.
Phil, what should I do? What should I do with this money? Ching, ching, ching.
Void shakes his head and he walks out the door.
No, it's sitting right there. There are no kids here.
This
I
is
searched their
their
books and stuff
they have a
looking for a diary.
clubhouse.
I'll dump the money back in.
Even kept in. I don't think it even kept in.
They have a fortune.
No, my character was barely.
Seems like they were doing better in business than we were.
The old lady said they were soldiers of fortune. They made a fortune.
Actually, I don't know if you guys do you remember where most of that came from?
Warren.
No, it wasn't Horrid. It was taken from the mayor's nephews were doing all kinds of like drug trade and contraband trade.
Mm.
They had a pretty significant cash stash.
Oh, we couldn't spend it.
Yeah.
Because
It was
because they would know, the drug dealers and such, and the mayor's nephew would know we took it.
Yeah. Yep.
So we had it, and we could never spend
But yeah,
it.
they were like a regional. These nephews were like a regional hub of contraband goods. So, despite not having any political power, those nephews may have had quite a bit of money, and these guys took it from them in a series of intentional and unintentional actions.
All right, I'll dump the money back in. I'll take my picture, which for those of you who are listening is the middle finger, and
with a circular nail, with a circular fingernail.
He bites his nail.
The best part.
And then as everybody's like walking out or whatever, I look at the ammo can and I leave a steamer in there and then I'll close it.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
As I walk out, I'm kind of shaking my head. It's like, those contracts don't seem to have been enough money to count for that.
Maybe they stole it. Who knows?
Well, there. Now the only evidence that anyone was here is that you broke their window.
Shit in their cash box.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Cross campaign hazing. I love it.
If it were Lee, he'd leave a couple of coins for the window, but it's Void. Let's fuck those guys.
All right.
This Void guy's great.
I know, right? Get shit done.
So, with this information, by this point, you're starting to get toward afternoon. You think it would probably be a couple days' journey, 2 or 3 days, to get out to this place. Do you intend to undertake that journey now, or do you want to wait until the following morning?
Is that a couple days?
Or go back to the boat?
On the GCs, or was that...
If you just took the GCs, pushed pretty hard, you think you might be able to pull it off in 24 hours.
I make the recommendation of that, because I don't think we have a lot of time.
4 of us, 2 GCs.
We'll do it. Void starts walking towards the boat.
Okay. Lloyd walks towards the boat. Songbird.
I lean into Philip. When did he become so decisive?
When he put on the mask.
Well, I mean, if Joe was here, he would ask if those masks were magic like the water.
I told you, there's something psychological there. That is Void. Lee is inside fighting to get out, but that is Void.
Okay.
Head back to the boat.
Okay, you head back to the boat. Everyone's...
Yep, agreed.
Okay. You guys get back to the boat.
And it's on fire. As usual.
Once you, when you get back to the boat, with several of her personal guards, Duchess is, she's actually on the shoreline waiting.
Okay.
Did you tell us that you met with Duchess?
Probably not.
Yeah.
It doesn't sound like something Void would do.
Songbird had no idea the Duchess was here. I did from listening to the previous episode.
But
Void,
this was trying to figure out if my character didn't know. So no, he wouldn't have.
Void goes up to her like, yeah, Duchess hangs out in Cape, yeah. No big. What are you surprised about?
So, what course of action have you decided upon?
The town is to fly the flag of the 3 rivers. But we're not exactly advertising that.
Yeah.
And he motions over to the other army in case they decide to start raining shells down on it.
Give the order, and in 30 minutes, I can have air power on it.
Is that an option?
Oh, you would know. Lee, from having been one of her masts, yes.
Okay.
As the house that does all the mechanical work, they are the ones that maintain and operate the airplanes.
I don't know if you guys walked up and heard any.
Yeah, I walked up.
Void is standing there and he's like rubbing his right hand as he considers something. Hold off for now. We have another plan in motion. We need them, again, motioning to the army on the other side, to hold for at least a day or 2.
I'll keep them on hot scramble. If something changes, do I have your permission to use them?
Lee Void stops rubbing his hand, looks at her, and goes, "Yes." And he turns around and starts getting on the boat.
Okay.
Right to the boat.
All right.
I was actually going to even suggest that for her, but she suggested it herself.
Duchess is here.
He stops, turns around, looks at Duchess. Yes. Right over there.
It's her boat.
Right, but she came with us.
Yeah, she escorted us down. Pulled us, I think, too.
Why was it necessary for Duchess to escort us?
Boyd kind of looks around a bit and says, well, things were getting uncomfortable for her in the city.
I see.
Philip is doing his best to pretend that he knew she was there and that it all makes sense.
So, I guess we should gather food, water, the GCs, and go? Or are we going to wait till the morning?
Well, let me ask the two of you, looking at Modamar and Songbird. We are most assuredly being watched right now. And if we leave, they, again motioning to the army, might try to intercept us. What is the best course of action?
Sir, you should definitely not ride horse colors. It might be seen as favoritism by the overseer.
Noted. Thank you, Captain.
Well, cover of darkness is the thing to do. So we wait till after sunset, or we wait till after the sun goes down, right? And then we walk the horses out of town, and wait until we get a good clip outside of town before we mount them.
Whoa. Not this again.
Not what again?
Never mind.
Oh, you're a vile child.
You told me that you weren't intimidated. His leopards hung like a... Never mind.
That is not in any way what I said.
Don't leave me hanging. Hung like what?
Like one of those?
A GC?
Yeah.
Gentleman cock.
Hopefully he's not like the female one. I say as I walk past her.
What I said to her. I forget it.
I think it might be a better idea, too, if I stayed here.
What?
Might be better if I stayed in the town. Me leaving and suddenly disappearing would look strange. The army would know it, might know something's up. The town would start asking questions, and let's be honest, in a firefight or a hard ride, I'm more of a liability and an anchor than actual help. You guys won't need me to do any of this.
Yeah, but what if we need your brain?
You have Philip's brain. And you have your own.
What if Void stayed on the boat, locked away in a cabin safely,
Not this again.
and Lee came with us?
I'm staying here in town. Can I play Casey and send Casey with them?
Yes, but first I want you to roleplay convincing Casey to go.
Okay. I'm staying here. It would be better. It would raise too much suspicion if I went with you.
Man, just when I was starting to find you tolerable.
Then you should sneak out with us.
Then I won't be here when the sun comes up, which will raise questions.
What direction are we going again? East or west? No, we're going west, correct?
Yes, you're going to be going western.
Because east we
Right.
have to go swim.
We should probably leave the city north and then double back.
Okay.
How about Casey goes with you?
Good luck convincing Casey to leave you.
That and their scouts could see him from miles away.
I am pledged by default as a bodyguard of the overseer.
If they don't succeed, the city falls. If they get jumped, The Army's bound to have patrols searching, scouts looking for riders just like this. Maybe not knowing the mission or the direction, but if they get set upon the Carver clan by random thugs, by the Army, they'll need all the help they can get. I have to stay here. I can't leave.
Or maybe they should move quickly, quietly, and silently. As in, maybe I should stay here and the two of you go together.
No, Philip, you need to
because
go
you're
with
stealthy.
them. You need to go with them. If they run upon anything that your contacts, your knowledge of the area, do you really want Motomar or Songbird talking their way out of something? Let's be honest.
You don't want that.
Fuck you!
Yeah, exactly.
And what about when they get there? With all of the technology that's potentially there?
Pick it up, put it in a bag, bring it back.
I wouldn't know what I was looking at.
You do.
Well, I know one thing in particular that I'm looking for, and I showed it to you.
Oh, yeah.
But if there's other
big black
things,
stick.
if there's other things there as well, Philip can help you. Casey can help you fight.
Not like what you've seen, though. You've seen a lot more technology in St. Louis than I've had
I can't leave.
opportunity to.
I can't leave. The situation would change. If the situation changes, the other army might see something. They might suspect something.
If they see you riding out north, they may think that you're headed towards St. Louis.
And if the town sees me riding out as well, they'll think that St. Louis is abandoning them. Kane was right. I need to be here.
Look, the man's made his decision.
Casey, I want you to go with them. I want you to protect them. Duchess is here. She has guards. Her guards will protect me.
Is it okay if I inform her?
Inform Duchess?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. I do this against my own choices, but I will do as you asked.
Thank you. In times of war.
I just want to apologize in advance. If I throw up, it's because I have "We Built This City on Rock and Roll" stuck in my head.
I kind of step out after Casey and we're out of sight of Casey. I think you're right. I think you should stay here and protect him. If they have an opportunity, that army, they don't want this city to bolster around someone from St. Louis. They'll assassinate him if they get the chance,
Or
just to make
capture
the town feel weak. Or capture and use him as a pawn.
That's why
Needs defensive. I don't trust Duchess. I trust you to protect him.
The man made his decision.
That's why I'm talking to Casey in
He's
private.
going to stay. Oh, I'm sorry. We're not.
Yeah, I'm talking to Casey in private about it. And I'm trying to get Casey to stay.
I know you're right. The only thing that I think will keep him safe is the fact that too much is in play. Duchess is fighting for St. Louis. I truly believe that. And if St. Louis wins and one of the overseers dies down here and she was the one tasked with protecting him, she is going to be in for a world of shit. She will protect him, if I am careful in how I phrase this to her, with resources that I cannot possibly muster, even if less enthusiasm. If I'm going to stay, I have to openly defy him, not just as a friend or companion, but I have to openly defy him as an overseer. Which, depending on...
We can't do right now.
And also, if it ever comes back, if someone ever happens to mention to that house that I defied an overseer, they'll execute me.
Okay.
If he had given me any choice, I'd be staying here. But he's not giving me a choice. All I have is a second best option, which is I'm going to see to it that Duchess understands her head is under the axe. And if one hair on Void's head is hurt, that it will fall.
Right. I let him go off, and Dan, I'm going to go down the docks a little bit into the town.
Okay.
And I'm looking for a kid.
Okay, you find one, yeah. It's not hard to find kids running around town.
And I pay him a couple coins. Say, I have a letter I need to be delivered to Mr.
Mr.
Kane.
Kane. Okay. Yeah, he's like, oh yeah, I know where that is. That's the big house over there.
It's okay. I'm looking for a kid.
I got a bus.
Did you find a candy store?
It's a kitten house.
Ew.
Oh.
Gross.
How far out did you say we thought it would be with the GCs?
You think you can do it in 24 hours?
Okay.
It's going to be almost straight ride.
Oh my gosh, my pelvis is going to hurt so bad.
I know.
Yeah, try doing that with a body of 3.
Well, and you might actually know how to post.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe not.
I don't know if you keep it up that long, but you probably do know how to do it.
Right.
Okay. This letter, and then I would need to...
I keep it vague.
Vague.
Wagyu.
That's my favorite sauce.
Wagyu.
Wagyu.
Pig.
Prego.
Yeah.
Okay, so Philip has wandered into town. Lee's on the boat. Casey is currently talking to Duchess. Songbird and Motomar, what are you two doing?
I'm just getting my kit together. Just making sure that I have all of my goods and equipment.
Also, is there any... Because I gave away my rifle. Is there any other rifles available?
Did anyone else on the boat have a rifle? I'm sure one of the ship hands do.
You want a shotgun?
Yeah.
Double barrel sawed off?
Yeah.
Well, you have to say it. He wouldn't just give it to you. You have to, like...
Since you're not going, can I use your shotgun?
Sure. He hands you the shotgun that killed Joe.
It'll Joe you away.
Yeah.
If
he was carrying
all
it.
right then, because I was going to offer you my rifle to use, but
We're just going to use the particle rifle.
I'm loaded for bear. I don't think
What if it's like a crazy space bear? And you need a big science fiction anti-bear rifle.
My two logistic concerns are, one, can the GCs carry Casey and another person?
Yes.
And
Yeah, I can.
And the second concern is, how much gear are they going to be able to carry when we leave?
They're GCs.
They don't have infinite strength. That is going to be a more interesting question depending on what you guys find out there.
Well,
Maybe you can find like a wagon or something.
if I find a particle rifle, I'm keeping it. A particle rifle. That's all I know.
You don't want me to have a particle rifle.
My reliability is firearms.
My struggle is firearms.
My incompetence is lightning cannons. Which I never thought would come up, but thanks, Dan.
That's quality game mastering right there, making sure your disadvantages become prevalent. Yeah.
It's good stuff.
All right. You guys then are heading north. Okay, Chad, you are welcome to play Casey, so
Excellent.
I'll give you control of Casey.
I grab Motomar, break him in half!
Barely even needs a roll, so...
Break Songbird instead.
That's dessert.
All right.
Yucky.
So as you guys begin riding out of town, Is there anything Void is doing back behind that I...
Void is walking around town making himself known. He's not doing the Lee thing where he's like talking to people and spreading rumors and upping his own legend, but he is purposely walking around being seen.
So everyone knows where he's at.
Right?
Okay. While you were walking around town, those...
It's Halloween and no one can find me.
Yes, that's exactly what occurs. No, for political reasons, no one is allowed to dress up as the Grim Reaper.
Right.
But the presidential masks around here are fucking weird.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, this is so-and-so's skull. Can't you tell?
This is my great grandfather's
So,
skull.
so while you are walking around town, you do see those same two rather quiet jets or whatever they are making another pass over the area. Give me 2d6 plus perception, and if you really amaze me... Nope.
Oh, wow.
Okay, you see them. So, all right, outside of town. You guys begin riding away fairly fast. The GCs, they are fast, and they have both more speed or strength, more endurance than a standard horse does. Believe it or not, humans actually have more endurance than horses do.
If we have Songbird leading, she can have her goggles on and actually see at night.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Hey,
Okay.
grab me some of your nuts, Wayne.
All
I
right.
want to put your nuts in my mouth.
Which ones?
We'll go with the bigger ones, the can.
All right. As you guys
Fresh, man.
are riding, once you are maybe an hour outside of town, you can hear over the horse hooves, or addition to the horse hooves of your own horses, you hear other horses approaching you from within the woods.
Like to intercept, or they're following?
Yes, to intercept.
Okay. We got company.
All in that direction.
Would Casey have put on the armor?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
And you hear a few repeated, the tone is the same each time, high-pitched whoops.
I attempt to give the safe sign.
Okay. You get a response. Give me a 2d6 plus social or smart. Your choice. I think they're the same for you.
Wow.
Oh, my goodness.
So,
You get another die.
okay.
Oh my god.
We're at 20 right now. 22.
So they come over, they help carry our stuff, lead us safely to where we're
It is actually it's like a, hey, hold up, we need to talk sort of response.
They're asking us to stop and talk.
If we run, they'll chase us. Well, they may have.
They don't. Actually, would they normally ask people to just stop and
No.
talk? Something special's going on. I think we need to hear what they have to say.
Just get ready to gank them if we have to.
Oh my god, I'm playing a character that can gank. I'm so excited.
I don't even hide. I'm perfectly ready to run behind Casey if I have to.
I got my goggles on, another fucking SMG. I'm gonna go hide.
Okay. You know what? Actually, give me. Oh, you can use your woodsman-y thing.
Yep.
Plus perception. Perception or smart, your choice.
It'll be perception.
Okay. So
All day, every
perception,
day.
Pick the best two dice.
17.
Okay, 17. Okay, so that's going to be what anybody has to beat to see you.
Gotcha.
Okay. So, all right. So you go off and hide. As you guys are riding away from Cape through the woods, out of the woods, it's a little easier to see from a distance just because there's no leaves on the trees and such. From 5 horses, and on the lead one, Motomar, you recognize Yak,
Don't talk back.
and they come riding up, and Yak has the biggest shit-eating, pleased with himself grin on his face that you can possibly imagine.
Yak.
Paw Carver. Do you know how good it feels to finally be able to say that again? Paw Carver. We haven't had a Paw Carver in years. I did just like you asked. I did exactly like you asked. Sent the word. Send it along our network.
Okay.
Word back. Everybody's getting ready.
You suck.
Me?
Yeah.
Why do I suck?
Sorry, Dan. I didn't. You know why.
This is going to be one hell of a bang. Oh, this is going to be glorious. Pa, you know how long we have waited to do this. You know how long we've waited for this kind of opportunity.
Yeah, shut up.
What word did you send back?
Pa, he draws out a shotgun and points it at the guy next to him. And says, make me the general. I'm ready to prove that I'm blood and ready if you need me to. Make me the general.
He's just some random dude sitting next to him?
That's one of the other S's.
Okay.
Does the random dude seem to react to this?
Oh yeah, he's
oh shit.
yeah, he's kind of backing off and is now watching Motomar with quite a bit of nervousness.
What do you know about this army to the south?
Fuck 'em.
Yeah, well, besides that.
They come in, they set up, you let them do what they want, and then whatever they build, you take that too. You know, I can't read, but I heard something that sounds like it came from a book, because it's like one of those smart people things.
Yeah.
That says the problem with armies is when they come in and win, they go up the castle steps in boots, but come down in slippers.
The fuck does that even mean?
Well, what that means is, look, who are these people here to fight? Us? Nah, they're here to take out St. Louis. Once they got St. Louis, over time, they settle down, they build their own farms, they start doing their own things, they move that army elsewhere, fight somebody else. Who knows? There's got to be another thing like St. Louis out there. So they go fight that. And then we, it's all ours. This countryside's our bitch like it's always been. It ain't us they're fighting for. It ain't us they're coming for. And man, by the time, the looks on their faces, I wish I could be there to see it. And I'm hoping I will be when they ride into St. Louis and find it already burned. Pa, come on. You gotta ride with us. This is gonna be glorious. You will be remembered forever, not just as a Paw Carver, but the Paw Carver.
If you want to be the general, why the hell are you all the way down here?
Well, because can't just nobody make me general?
You're general?
Come with us, Pa.
Do what you gotta do. Go on. I got some shit to do.
All right, Pa.
You speak for me.
Motomar, do you understand what he's asking of you, correct? Right?
What?
He's going to lead the IST
I'm not
into
asking-
St. Louis with the power you've just given him.
Oh, no. What, buddy boy, I'm not asking anything. He told me, and I do what I'm told like a good son.
Just stay away from Cape.
Damn it, Phil!
That's why you suck.
I do. Fuck me.
Because I can't take the conversation that we had at dinner.
Right.
Do you want St. Louis destroyed?
Go on, yeah.
You're going to love what we're going to do to the place. All right, boy. He turns to the guy next to him and smiles. He goes, click. And then puts and that's not a click sound effect. He literally just says the word click.
Oh, he just says...
He says the word click and then puts the shotgun away, and
That guy.
he turns and they start riding off.
Cape is safe. Those numbnuts can't do shit.
They can get the rest of their the Ist killed, and with St. Louis in the state it's in, they can. If St. Louis is fighting itself and they ride in, it might unite St. Louis. But a lot of people are going to die before it does.
How long will it take them to get to St. Louis?
Those horses, 3 days.
St. Louis is 100 miles away, so let's say a horse goes maybe...
Well, it's a large force. They're not organized.
Well, are you asking about these individuals, or are you asking about the Army as a whole?
The Army as a
Army's
whole.
already
You
close.
guys don't know. Because for simple reason, Motomar, having not actually really been part of the society, has no idea what the actual size of the Carver clan is, or where they're or how they're distributed.
Oh my
So-
God, I'm an ass.
So
We go? Oh,
So the Carver clan actually could be substantially larger than anyone has estimated, or smaller.
Right.
So you don't have any idea. I mean, this is certainly not going to happen like in an hour.
All right.
You're talking something at least measured in days.
I lean into Phil and I just whisper in his ear, "No overseer. Lee's back."
He wouldn't want to be back this way, though.
regardless, an option. We go, we find the armory, we make it back, we notify Duchess, and those planes, those fighter bombers that we saw, that Duchess referenced, she sends word ahead because she said, let her know, and in 50 minutes they'll be down here. Let them know that Ists are on the way, and then bomb the shit out of them. But I mount back up, but we should go.
Yep, we have a mission to complete.
All right, you guys ride through the rest of the evening, into the night, to the following morning. And you guys go to the place that was on this map. And it takes you a little bit of searching around the area. So by the time that you actually find it, it's evening the next day. Okay, but you do eventually find it. It is deep in the woods. Most of it appears to be built subterranean, possibly either in or at least taking advantage of existing cave systems. Or at least what you can tell from looking at is there's not much facility above ground. You do find some dirt roads. And when I say dirt roads, I don't even mean like cleanly paved dirt roads. I mean like these are just places that were packed with dirt. And the plants are starting to overgrow them, but where you can see them, the spacing of it is so consistent that you're pretty sure these are just vehicle tracks. That this could have been Jeeps or who knows what that were out here. This, you don't see a substantial facility. As you get close to the above ground part of this facility, there's not much there. What you see is basically an oversized shack that is tucked back in the middle of trees. There's marks around it like vehicles once upon a time were parked there. And the structure itself has netting and such over it that would actually protect it from being seen from the air.
This
What?
is not what I was expecting.
Why don't you two flank out, hidden, and Philip and I will go in. That way, if there's anybody there, hopefully they don't take a shot at us, but if they do, they won't take out all four of us. Maybe they'll ask us to surrender and you can intercept it.
Okay.
All right. You guys spread out. Froder, you can use your thing again. Perception. That's 2 dice.
15.
Okay. So, Songbird rides out one direction. Bodemar kind of loops out the other.
Right.
Philip and Casey.
Start making out.
Yes. So, so I assume you guys are on foot doing this? Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Bodemar, same thing. Give me a 3d6. You can use your... because yours is also scouting or something.
Scouting, right.
Scouting, yeah. So 3d6, pick the best 2 dice, and perception.
Nice.
So 9, so 18.
18, okay. So 15 and an 18. All right. So, Motomar, where you're going, you actually do find hidden under some more of that cover netting an old Humvee, or Humvee-like vehicle, that obviously is pre-war. It's not in good shape,
Right.
but it's still sitting there hidden from the days that it was parked there.
Okay.
So is this like a temporary base, or is this like, are there permanent structures?
The shed itself appears permanent-ish. I mean, it's still standing after all these years, but you don't see a huge base, at least not from where you are right now.
Because it's just some sort of outpost.
Songbird, when you're circling around, you see a person.
And I've got my goggles on.
They're wearing what you would probably...
What's that, Dermal?
You would recognize as a U.S. military uniform, at least from pictures and such, complete with, it's think like BDUs type stuff with the armor and all that, and they're simply lying in the grass.
Just lying in the grass?
Lying in the grass like they're asleep.
All right, well, I'll attempt to stalk forward.
Okay.
And not disturb them, but I'm trying to get right up on him.
Okay, you get right up on him. He doesn't move.
Get up on him.
All right, so, obviously I can see their face.
Not from this angle, no.
All right, I want to try to get around so I can see their face, but obviously have the SMG, trained on them to give them a short controlled if necessary.
When you get around to the other side, you see weirdly loose hair, like this kind of wild blonde-colored hair on this thing, and there is a pair of glassy eyes staring at you. The mouth is agape, and there's what looks like a bunch of bullet shots that have torn through some kind of like a epoxy outer skin, and you can see metal on the inside of it.
Like a cyborg?
Yeah. Or something like that, yeah. And its hand, one of its hands looks like its fingers are bent backwards, like they've actually been forced open, and it's a completely inhuman position. Like, it's farther than you could bend your fingers back.
Ooh. All right, where's everybody else?
Give me one more perception check.
Sure. 17.
Okay, 17. Okay. As you're looking at this thing, from just no more than maybe a few yards behind you, you hear a psst.
Okay. I'll turn around very slowly.
Leopard is crouched in the trees. Or not the tree, like near the trees. I mean, not up in the trees.
Like, not like a real leopard.
Yeah.
Is he armed?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, he doesn't have a gun pointed at you, but yeah, he's armed. He's got his own goggles up on his forehead.
All right, and they magnify, correct?
Yes.
All right, I want to magnify and take a closer look at his face. Just try to read his expression.
He looks nervous more than anything else.
I'm taking her goggles.
Oh, yeah.
He looks more nervous than anything else.
All right, I'm going to start backing away from. I'm going to keep my my eyes on him. But I'm going to keep backing away from him, though, toward our original destination.
He motions for you to come towards him. Don't do this.
Don't do what?
Put the gun down. Just talk to me for a second. Look, if I wanted you dead, don't you think that'd have happened already?
Yeah, absolutely. What I'm trying to fucking figure out is if I want you dead or not.
I love it when couples argue in tense situations. In the middle of a field, dead robots. Oh shit! Well, let's have a domestic.
You duped them, and you tried to shoot a missile at St. Louis.
It wasn't a missile.
Okay, then the laptop was a bomb.
Okay, yes, that part's true. But it wasn't a missile. Look, Songbird, please come with me. You have to get away from all of this. I have saved your life. I don't know how much this you remember. I've already saved your life twice before from very, very bad things. I don't think I can do it a third time. Not because I'm not willing to, but just because, look, my rock is going to run out eventually.
What was in the ground that made me so upset?
What?
What was in the ground that made me so upset?
Is this some kind of riddle? What the hell are you
That
talking?
started the argument that forced Rat to shoot me. What was it?
You're asking a story I'm happy to tell, but it's not a short story. I know you've got friends over there. Please come with me for the sake of your own life and your future, for the sake of theirs. If you won't, that's fine. But if you want to hear the story, you've got to find some way to shake them for at least a little bit.
How about we compromise? Why don't you come with me?
Because I'm not sure you want them hearing all of this. Because they may never look at you the same way again once they hear all of this.
Okay. Now I start walking toward him.
Once you are kind of up closer to him, he kind of turns and starts leading you away from the site.
Okay.
You don't remember much of your early life, do you?
No.
Where is it you think you're from?
I remember a cave. Is this it?
No. That's, I think I know what cave you're talking about. No, it's not this, and you're not from that cave.
Am I from Olympus B2?
No?
Then where am I from?
Do you remember anything of your childhood?
Little bits. And I go through I sling my submachine gun, and I go through my kit, and I pull out my 5-inch Raggedy Ann. I remember this. I vaguely remember my parents. I remember their cabin.
Those weren't your parents. Those people adopted you, but they weren't your parents.
Who were they?
They were a nice couple that was infertile, and they adopted you like a daughter for a time. You acted out quite a bit, and eventually you left, and they didn't throw you out, but they allowed you to leave because it was becoming difficult for them to raise you. But given the things you'd been through, it was understandable that you were acting out. And it's kind of interesting because in some ways I still see that same streak in you. You just don't know why anymore.
Yeah.
That's the first thing you remember is the cabin? Because you weren't born there either.
No, I remember it's a room with off-white walls. I was sitting on a bed. I was holding this doll. Outside, I was looking at a window. There was, I don't know, like rocky desert, maybe, with mountains nearby. I think it was somewhere in the American Southwest.
Good. Okay, you remember that.
But that's about as far back as I recall.
Okay.
You made me do terrible things.
Yes and no.
You're right. I didn't
make you do anything.
You didn't make me do
You
anything.
believed in it maybe for the wrong reasons then, but I'm hoping you can believe in the right reasons for it now. At the time, you were angry, but now I'm hoping you can maybe see with a clear head why we're doing what we're doing. That you can understand what's going on here. All right, let me try taking this from the start. Look around the world. This place is a shithole. Disease, famine, death, Carver clans. We've looked around. The Carver clan, there's worse out there. I mean, they're at least big enough to need some kind of structure, to need some kind of society. Not all the Ist clans are like that. I mean, there are people that just do whatever, anything they want. The only people that could have done anything about this sit behind high walls, basically waiting, I don't know for what, waiting for the world to sort itself out, and then they can just come in, waiting for us to all go extinct, and then they just move out and take over the land. I don't know what it is they're waiting on, but they just sit there behind walls, behind defensive perimeters. And that's not fair, and that's not right, and that has to stop, and that has to end. And they keep this power balance where they let groups get powerful and successful and stable, but only so far. St. Louis, it's doing wonderfully. If you look at a industry, technology, it's nowhere near where things used to be. And I'm not sure what they would do if it started to get close. I don't know that they would let it survive. Maybe they would. Maybe they have some other design for it. I don't know. But all I know is there's nothing they're propping up. There's nothing they're trying to do to reach out. There were many of us that were living on Olympus 2B, and we were able to keep it alive for a while. And actually, we got a little help doing that from Jacksonville for a time. But eventually it just wasn't tenable. We couldn't do it anymore. Things were getting too crazy there, so we evacuated it. We came here. And we saw the world that we had returned to. I mean, we'd been watching it from orbit. We had some idea. But we came down here. We saw what had happened. And so we started working on plans. There was one of us who actually was, before he decided to move to Olympus, he actually worked for an intelligence agency for the war. And he taught us things. He taught us how to work the world. He taught us how to play these games, how to do what we had to do to create situations, to control what was going on. And we knew that we could only take things so far. We lacked power. I mean, turning armies against each other is one thing, but actually getting any kind of useful outcome from that, that's another. Well, then this whole unification movement starts in the South, and we start to see something that maybe can pull it all together, maybe something that can make it work. But that still leaves the question of Jacksonville, because they're obviously paying attention. I know you've seen their planes passing overhead. They don't normally do that too often. They're watching. We know they have agents. We know they have operatives that keep an eye on things. Hell, maybe one of your friends, one of them. We don't know. They operate at a level that we can't even begin to guess. And that's when something changed. We were out working off west of here, a good ways west of here. And one night, we saw something fall from the sky. And we went to where it was, and it was a crew cabin from some kind of a spaceship. And most of the people in there were dying or dead. But there was a young woman, young girl, that they pulled from the wreckage. And there were people that were hunting them. The people on that ship, hunting them, wanting to kill them all. Not Jacksonville. At the time, we weren't sure who they were. But they were scary. I mean, literally, they come out of thin air. Bam. So, I struck a deal with them. Or not me, but my predecessor. Struck a deal with them. And though I wasn't the one that actually struck the deal, I was the one that suggested it. That saved your life. Because they wanted you dead.
Why?
Because nobody leaves where you were. Nobody leaves. And so, having done so, that. The deal I suggested, don't kill this girl. Let's put her someplace secluded. Hide her there for a while. And if these people start to get too close, cut a deal with them. Rather than wasting your life, you're just a kid. Hell, at the time I was basically just a kid. Not that much older than you are. We make her one of us. And it worked. They agreed to it.
Where's there?
You ever feel like you ain't from around here?
Yeah.
Those red mountains you saw, those aren't in the American Southwest. You got about 100 million miles up to get to there.
It was on Mars. Why did we escape Mars?
I don't know. Why you were fleeing like refugees and why they wanted you guys dead, I don't know. Why you fled, much less why they were trying to kill you. We didn't even know anyone was still alive out there, much less that they had operatives acting on Earth. Maybe Jacksonville knows this shit, but we had no idea. So then comes the second time I saved your life. Because you being alive is contingent upon you being one of us. We took you back to see that ship. We went back there using some parts that we were able to get from a downed radio satellite that we found out where it crashed from some dead woman's book. I don't know where Rat got it from, but it doesn't matter. We found it. We got the parts out of it. We went back to that ship and we repaired it. And it was like you were in a dream. You seemed to know that ship and you started toying with things and looking at things. And all at once it was like something in you snapped and you were done. And I pleaded with you, don't go. If you go, you are dead. That was the deal. That was the deal to keep you alive. And so, when you couldn't be swayed, Rat shot you.
So it wasn't an accident and it wasn't a warning. He shot me on purpose.
It was... yeah. I could package it in some other way, but I got angry. I thought you were dead. I thought he had killed you. I got enraged. He fled. Chased him off. Told him I'd deal with him later. when I found you were still breathing
You injected me.
and sent you on your way. Left you there, but provisioned, hoping that maybe wherever you ended up, you walking around with no memory, so much the better. Because you've got no memory, you can't out yourself. Figure maybe I find you, talk you back. You're not actually the songbird, by the way. When your ship came down and a lot of stuff started, the songbird, she, I don't know if she got scared or what, but she took off and went to hide. She went somewhere to the south, got into an IST group of her own. Smaller than the Carver clan, but well organized. Kind of went a little nuts with it, but she never shows her face, and she always goes by pseudonyms, and that's the real songbird. We put you in her place to protect you. Right now, this whole area is about to blow up. St. Louis is under attack by its own defensive force.
And that was based on your manipulations.
Yes. What I didn't manipulate is one of your friends is now the head of the Carver clan, and he apparently ordered the army to attack St. Louis from the west while it's fighting to the south.
How do you know that?
Because I'm not the only one left alive that does this.
What do you mean?
What I mean is, look, we've got other agents. Not a huge number, but enough. And on top of that, in case you've forgotten, we have pretty friendly relationships with the Carver clan.
I hadn't forgotten.
And needed it originally to dig out that fallen radio satellite. But after we got those parts, they weren't hurting us, we weren't hurting them, so we kept those relationships open. And they're quite vocal and quite open about the fact that something they've been wanting to do for apparently decades, namely burn St. Louis, they've now been told to do by the new Paul Carver. And that force to the south, that's the tip of the iceberg of an army that's coming. And when they get here, whatever's left of St. Louis, Cape, all the towns that St. Louis controls, it's going to be one hell of a shit show. And at some point, I don't know if we're going to wake the sleeping giant and Jacksonville comes out of its shell and does something.
If staying with you is the only thing that kept me alive, why am I alive now? Why didn't these mysterious Martian specters kill me?
Because they're working on another project. But that won't last forever.
So what are you suggesting?
You think about the people you're with right now. You have an overseer of St. Louis, a merchanting group, the Paw Carver of the Carver clan, you, and some women, a refugee from space? I mean, come on. You guys represent a weird concentration. I mean, a really weird concentration of power from a cross-section of these factions. How long do you think that's going to last? how long do you think it's going to be before one of these groups decides to take all of you out? Or how long do you think it's going to be before one of the people that you think are your friends decide they're all in with, the faction they're currently flying the flag of? You've got an IST handing out orders to an IST army. You've got a ruler of St. Louis prepping a town for war. You've got a merchantman who seems to want the simpler life. I think he's got the right of it. People are always going to need merchants, and nobody's going to go out of their way to blow him up.
I guess he doesn't know about all the pirates, too. Who's got a pirate fleet on...
What do you just want me to come back into the fold?
Mm-hmm.
It's the safest thing to do. Because, well, I can't talk about it until I know your answer. If that sleeping giant wakes up, there is a contingency plan. And it's best you not be out here when it occurs. Where you're at right now? Military depot. Supplies. Hidden here. Way off the books. Contingency. In case America got invaded, I don't even know. They'll find their weapons down there. They even want a battle or two with them. But in any war, only one battle matters, and that's the last one. And right now, St. Louis is facing down an overwhelming numerical and economic power. And if I don't bring you back into the fold, eventually someone is going to get you. And I don't know that I'm going to have the power to talk anybody out of it this time. And I'm pleading with you because I don't want you dead.
Although I don't remember it, I left for a reason. And what happens a month from now, 6 months from now, 2 years from now, when I remember that reason?
Then you can scream and yell and beat a pillow if it makes you feel better, punch me. But at least you'll be there to scream and yell about it.
I did many reprehensible things to further your goals.
Our goals. And if you find them reprehensible, live and atone for them.
Yeah. Well, as foolish as this may sound to you, I owe it to them. I can't just walk away. I owe it to them.
That cave, there was a plaque that we had, made it ourselves, carved it out of wood, had it hanging in there. It's a quote from Deuteronomy. It says, "They shall besiege you in all your towns until your high and fortified walls in which you trusted come down throughout all your land." It's a reference to Jacksonville, it's a reference to St. Louis, it's a reference to all this. If you go back out there and trust in that, you're going to burn with it. And I don't say that to intimidate you, I say that to plead with you.
So if I go with you, what do we do?
We take you someplace safe. We let this play out. And we do everything we can to make sure the world that's built on the other side of it is one that's a hell of a lot better than this one.
That's what those people are trying to do.
And who do you think got them started? Who do you think was able to remind them of what this land once stood for?
So what makes you, if I stay with them and I help them and I'm perpetuating the mission, why would I be any more safe with you than with them?
Because, one, I can hide you somewhere far away from here, and two, if someone does come looking for you, saying that the deal that kept you alive is broken because you went rogue, I have evidence that that's not true. You're right there. And they don't do anything to you.
Okay.
So you come?
Yeah.
Good. Then let's get out of here before they come looking for you.
Okay.
Okay, so deal with them?
Yeah.
To walk next to Philip, I'm like, Songbird who?
I'm gonna go with him.
Okay.
So it's treason then.
So, all right,
I'm just gonna text memory real quick.
So, Casey, Philip, and Motomar. You guys, Motomar, you do your sweep. Check out Thumbvy a bit. You guys meet up back near the shack. Songbird never returns.
There's a slagged out vehicle over there. I don't know if it'll work or not.
Where's Songbird?
She's not here.
No, she's not.
She just went that way. She should just be right over there. I wave. Wavering.
Can you track her?
Yeah.
Well, go see if she's hurt or something.
I look around, like, where would be the best vantage point for, like, visibility, line of sight?
It's woods and intentionally difficult ones to navigate at that, which is why they put this facility here.
And it's dark, and the two people that you're following. Let's have space goggles.
No, what I was asking is from the woods, looking at the shack, where would she be to cover us? Where would the logical place for her to cover us?
Because you're a genius. Yeah.
Okay, you find a spot.
Okay, and I look where this is. And I come back and I go, she's not where she should be. I don't know where she went to. It's dark. I could probably track her in the morning.
It's getting dark. It's still evening.
Yeah. Did I see tracks?
Give me a 3d6 plus perception. Best two of the d6s, of course.
That is a 19.
Yes.
Okay. 2 sets of tracks?
Yes. Ground is disturbed. It's fall, so you've got leaves, you've got sticks, you've got all kinds of things.
She wasn't picked up, dragged, or anything like that?
No. However, you do also, upon getting closer, you see the fallen body of what looks like a U.S. Army soldier back to you, laying there stiff in the grass.
Okay. I'll check it. Does it look like it's the cyborg? Yeah. So, and then I see that she walked off with somebody, and doesn't look like she was dragged or anything like that.
No. You don't see any signs of struggle. I mean, you certainly didn't hear any gunshots.
Okay. I'll come back. Say, there's a dead metal man back there. But she didn't do it. It's been dead for a long time.
Metal man?
Yes. Well, he looks like a man. He's like wearing a wig. But,
can you
be a
show
target
me
dummy.
this?
Could be targeting dummy. Yeah. But then, looks like she walked off with somebody.
Could we get the horses and catch up with them?
Maybe. Through these woods?
We got to try.
That'll put us off schedule. She went willingly. She didn't go... She wasn't dragged or anything like that. She wasn't carried.
Unless it was at gunpoint.
That's true. What do you want to do? Look for.
I've tried to look.
Get the horses. Try and catch up.
Okay.
Get the horses and try and catch up.
Okay.
I think I want one thing first. The boots on the metal man. Do they match the tracks?
The tracks that I saw?
Yeah.
No.
No.
Get abducted by.
Now the middleman's boots were really big and bulky. This man's boots were little bitty and narrow.
Infantile.
Just walking around on like little pencil point legs.
Right?
Well, I don't know what we can do. I don't know what kind of influence I can have, but whatever I can, whatever. If I have to make a roll, I want to dump those in on avoidance, on stealthification.
All right. So what you're going to do then is, all right. So it's already your best. So 3d6
Right.
plus your agility. So pick the best two and
All right.
agility. Okay.
All right.
Now you may add an additional d6 to it. So
All right.
that's
so
your
that's
total.
8, 13, 21.
Okay.
21.
So Monomar, you will have to be the 21. You can also bullet.
Well, he wants to go, so save your bullets.
Yeah. 19.
Okay. So
That's cat and mouse stalking right there.
you are able to follow them for a time, and then the tracks disappear, and you're not able to pick up the trail again.
I'll come unless you guys are with me. I'll come back and I'll go. She's gone.
Maybe she.
Leopard and Songbird are up in fucking trees. Up in a tree next to each other.
suits,
Yeah, just watching.
If she didn't go willingly, he would have been able to follow the tracks. If he can't find the tracks after that long, that means she helped hide them.
Maybe she was.
Told you lost 2 peanuts.
Those were on the floor. And on my nut.
D's nuts. You got both of these nuts.
Maybe she wasn't quite as loyal as we thought.
She knew all of our plans.
That's fine. We haven't really thought out our plans.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, there's nothing we can do about it now.
I want to see this metal man.
Okay. He's pretty cool.
All right, Dan, I am going to examine the robots.
Okay. Yeah, you rolled over, and what you're looking at is basically an android wrapped in.
So like a cell phone.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm actually looking through it for. I'm checking pockets and things for.
Oh my god.
Security cards.
The Android has an iPhone. This is so mind-blowing.
No, it did work once. No,
I'm looking for keys, security
it's
cards.
carrying nothing on it.
Okay.
But in looking at its hand, it looks like the hand was violently forced open.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's probably where the particle rifle came from.
Yeah. Okay. I kind of look at. Nothing useful here. I was hoping he had keys or something. Pretty sure that's where the gun came from. How did 4 kids take out
Is there a
a
power
robot?
cord?
I looked
Yes.
up there. Shot it in the face.
Oh, he could adapt it. Yeah, you think with the right, it's beyond Casey's expertise
Sure.
to do. But yes, there are parts in here that Casey could integrate. So that's fine. If we can all make a note for future games that he stripped some parts from it that might upgrade his own armor.
Could we mount the head on something?
You can mount a head on anything.
Well, I know the head's not wearing a helmet.
Because his character took the helmet.
Well, as Casey's taking this out, it's like, well, we have burned a lot of time.
Yep,
we
we
should
need
get to work.
Yep.
Okay.
Head into the shack.
All right. You guys go up to the door of the shack. You guys go up.
That's where Songbird's going.
You guys go up to the door of the shack, which looks like it had been forced open and has now been reclosed. Not sealed, but just pushed closed again. And when you guys step inside, you find yourself in a staircase leading down. There are much to your surprise, still functioning lights in here. And when you go down that staircase, you find another one of those robots shot up and lying on the floor there. Also, its hand wrenched open and whatever it had gone. And beyond that,
Casey takes some.
There's a security checkpoint. Once again, doors forced open, so there's a security checkpoint door on the other side.
I don't remember any of this.
And
I do.
Beyond that is a catwalk. And when you go into that catwalk, something senses your motion, and lights begin to turn on. And you are in an underground area that has weapon lockers, soldier barracks. This place is basically set up to hold at least, I mean, you don't think it's going to hold like a full army regiment or something, but this is a place that, by your estimate, could hold a pretty significant number of soldiers and probably supply them for a fairly decent amount of time. And all of it is sitting here, with the exception of what little was taken near the entrance and a few kind of places along the walls you can see were shot up. It looks like there may have been other exchanges of fire down here. It is all simply sitting here untapped.
So how do we get it back?
All right.
As I'm kind of looking around for anything besides the weapons. So, say a computer.
Yes.
Kind of armor or like.
Yes.
All right.
It's Christmas.
I want to sit down.
So like a gear montage.
Yeah.
I want to sit down at the computer and see what's on the screen.
Porn.
Of course, there's an 85% chance.
Pornography. Yeah.
All midget.
You boot it up, and it appears to be on a. You get a series of defense memos that basically are walking through a nuclear event.
By the way, FYI, please advise.
Okay. I actually take out my notebook. I want to take out one of my notebooks and write a lot of this down.
Okay.
Because these are memos that haven't been seen in, however long.
Cutting back to Cape Girardeau.
Oh boy.
Void, you were on the boat, right?
Yeah, and I was walking around town too.
Okay. So you're walking around town. At one of the points when you get back near the dock, two of the house color guards, and incidentally, you've had a house color guard following you,
right.
But two of the house color guards or ship hands are waiting up against the shore with a tender boat, and they say, "Sir, would you be willing to come with us? Duchess wants to see you immediately."
Certainly.
All right, they take you on the tender boat. They go over to the side of Dancer and help you up the rigging and onto the ship. And they take you inside, not to the stateroom where you normally go, or the eating area, the dining room where you normally go, but they take you up to the riverboat's bridge. Not a large room by any stretch of the imagination. Just a handful of consoles here. It's just what they call a brown water Navy ship. And you can see two of the ship hands are looking at one of the consoles, and Duchess is standing back with a perplexed look on her face. And Overseer?
Duchess?
Somebody apparently loves us more than we knew.
I find that love usually doesn't come without a price.
Maybe not a price. Perhaps it comes with an expectation. Take a look at this. She takes you, points you at the monitor. Says this particular console has been operational, but offline literally as long as we have had this ship. It was meant to, take a look. And they've wiped some dust away from it and pulled a cover off of it. But what you are seeing right now is a live satellite feed of Cape Girardeau and the area immediately to its south. not only do we have this, which is providing coordinates, but that's also clocking with the ship's turret. We've got radar-guided shells. We could put 6 shots on 6 artillery pieces in a matter of moments.
He rubs his hand. He looks at her. Do it.
And that's where we'll pick up the not beacon, that's where we'll pick up the other campaign.
That's amazing! That's amazing! Oh, that's amazing.
If Songbird had stayed, the speech that I had written up some notes from what Leopard was going to say as you were walking away.
Well, I think also we should tell people who are listening, too, in case they didn't hear it on Fear the Boot, that Brodor is leaving us for
a while.
few months.
Yeah. Brodor's not leaving the group, but Brodor, because of his job, is going to have to take a hiatus from the game for a couple of months.
Right.
And so what we're going to do is we're not ending the Skies of Glass campaign, but we're going to tell a related sub-story to the campaign to keep things alive. And then when Brodor comes back, we're going to figure out how we bring all of this together to
Convergence.
to continue telling the story.
Well, and it was super conflicting too, because I thought, I mean, because I was like, well, because if Songbird leaves and goes with Leopard, how do I reincorporate that into the net? How do you, the game master, work me back into the group, right?
Well, I do have a 50-gallon drum of lube.
when I come back. But more importantly, I also thought, well, wait a minute. Why shouldn't even... I mean, yes, it's a game, and yes, it's a group of people, then yes, it's a social activity, but what would Songbird do? Right? And so I had to weigh those two things against one another and think, well, fuck it, I'm just going to do what Songbird would do. And then I thought, well, what would Songbird do?
Yeah, it's better to play true.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely... Yeah. And the thing is that, you know, Songbird, as much as everyone was kind and nice to her, she never felt part of the group, and that was just her character. That wasn't me being shitty or anything like that. It's just that Songbird was... She was always adrift, right? And then...
She was alien.
Well,
but Leopard, and I think that Lee really pointed this out, or Chad pointed it out when he was still Lee, that, you know, Leopard is my strongest tie to the past. And if I want to learn who I was, and, you know, but then the other thing is I have history with this group of people, but more importantly, I have a tremendous amount of history with that man.
Right.
Right? And so that was tough.
Yeah.
When I was prepping this game, it's like, I want to do something to leave a bit of cliffhanger to kind of, you know, screw things up a bit. So I was trying to think through all my plots and subplots and character secrets and NPCs and whatever. And I'm like, what do I do here? And as I was sitting there trying to figure out, it's like, nah, this is too cliche. This is too whatever, blah, blah, blah. And then I'm like, so I'm doing an inventory, and it's like, wow, I've got somebody who's one of the operatives from Ratman's group. I've got an overseer from St. Louis. I've got the new Paul Carver. And then I've got Wayne, who's basically the everyman. Wait a minute. They've already created a walking shit show.
Right.
I don't have to do anything but remind them of who they are.
Right.
And, you know, that's especially if I have no idea what's going to happen if word gets back. Because Casey will tell when word gets back to Lee that Motomar sent the Carver clan at St. Louis.
Oh,
right.
Yeah, dude. What the fuck?
Well, that was the thing where I'm going like, oh, I'm such a bastard because Lee didn't come with them.
Right. Lee. Chad and I had this conversation at dinner about the plan and about what his plan was and about how it was the only plan that he could really consider working and all this stuff. And so when you said that you weren't going to go with us, or when you said Lee wasn't going to go with us, I was like, whoa, how is this going to work out, right? And then when that whole situation happens, I was like, you son of a bitch!
Yep.
If you'd been here,
I could have gotten Modamar to tell Yak to attack the army that was outside of Cape.
And Philip would have never done that.
Yeah, Philip wouldn't have done it. Casey wouldn't have done it. Songbird wouldn't have done it.
Yep.
well, no,
Modamar was
because-
totally in character. It's like, yeah, fucking do your thing.
Because they're the good guys. The people, so the Unification are the good guys.
Are they?
Are they the goodest guys?
Are they?
Yes.
Man, and so
There's no good guy, there's no bad guy. There's
Lee has
just people that have their own view about what's best for the future.
There's good. There's goodest. There's gooder. There's
We haven't seen their downside yet.
Lee would have, if Lee was Lee, he would argue that they are not the good guys.
Yeah.
Not because we haven't seen what they have. I mean, he would have this whole argument about why they're wrong. They're the Hun. They're Genghis Khan, man.
No, they're
who can-
Alexander.
They're Genghis Khan with a Senate. And they are forcing you to, sure, they're Republic and they have all these progressive ideals at the point of a gun. But that's not how Void thinks. Void is, I'm here on a mission, we're doing a thing, and they must be stopped. But he's also like...
We've got all these different
Mixed
views
up.
in there too, because from Philip's standpoint, he likes the idea of Cape standing up and being its own city, because
Well-
that means maybe someday Herman can do it. Maybe
Yeah.
all of these cities will become their own.
And see, that's the thing. Lee wants revolution.
Mm-hmm.
He just wants a certain kind of revolution.
Well, and there was
And that's why he said, you know, the plan was to arm Cape with guns so there isn't a fight. That's part of his whole revolution.
I was debating on what to try to get Casey to do, because what I was trying to do was exactly what Kane asked. I wanted to get us away from Lee. I just wasn't sure, did I need Casey with us to make it easier to get to Lee? Or did I need Casey with Lee because he was trying to get to...
the two things that I had in my notes that didn't play out, other than the parting speech that Leopard would have given if Songbird had gone back to you guys, that I didn't get to play out, and I wish I could have. One was, well, they're both related to Philip. They're both related to Wayne's character. And one was Amelie was going to have a conversation with you about her view of the situation and some things she knows about Herman.
Interesting.
And the other one was Cyrus was going to give you a take on it
No, that guy.
that was much probably going to be closer to yours, meaning that it's much more of an everyman sort of take on the situation. And I had worked out what his angle was going to be and what he was going to kind of see of it, and what he was also going to try and tempt Philip away, because I had a temptation for each of you. Songbird's temptation was Leopard. Chad's temptation is Void. Eric's temptation is exactly how much is he willing to play the role of Paul Carver. And Philip, your temptation, if we had gotten to it, was going to be Cyrus was going to lay out a plan and an explanation of why it would actually be best, not just for the individuals, but also for the situation, if you guys were to take a lower key approach and to go back to working the river, doing the merchant thing, maybe working with the pirates and kind of building an underground.
Honoring Joe's memory and living the life that he wanted to live.
And so he was going to he was going to try to take you back to that simpler life.
What worked out better that you probably didn't intend was Kane actually was his temptation.
Kane.
All the talk about the better world, better future, he has a daughter to think about. So Kane actually provided the temptation.
Yeah.
It was a different temptation.
The Void temptation was great because I'm not sure there's much Lee left now. That was I think Void Lee kind of crossed the line with that cliffhanger. That was neat. It was really neat. Convergence is going to be interesting.
It
Well,
is.
The thing with it, where he could come back, he ordered them to hit artillery shells.
Yeah, who dies? On the off chance no one dies?
Well, no, there's crews around.
Yeah, exactly.
those dudes
People
are
are going to die.
Yeah.
That was the cliffhanger.
And also think about you're in an army. Artillery shells.
Oh, he started the fight.
Yeah, shells are coming in. You don't have time to figure out from where.
And here's the thing I love about Void, because Lee would have been like, well, we can wait for them to come back with the particle guns, and potentially they have some more armor. But if we wait, then this could... I just don't know. And then I'll manipulate Duchess into making a decision, and then I'll fucking rail her for 3 days because she made the wrong decision. Lee!
I have this vision that I don't think can happen of us riding back and not Void, because Void's already in town. The rest of us riding in with
Void's not in town because that town's about to explode.
the rest of us riding in with a robot army coming behind us, and just say, "Okay, stop."
Yeah, well, they're going to lose those 6 pieces of field artillery, right? They're going to lose those, and then they're going to be like, "Huh, well, that sucks." this whole playing field just got, kind of somebody put their thumb on the scale. This is dicked up. Yeah, it's exciting.
It's it's going to cause the fight. The entire game, Lee never killed anyone. And then at the final moment of the cliffhanger, he's responsible for the most amount of death.
Void's responsible.
I like how you think.
Yeah, I think Void's responsible.
Just like I have no control over what Gnarl posts on Twitter.
Right.
Yeah, I believe that's we're going to refer to Void as Lee's better half.
So, all right. So we're going to miss Brodor, unfortunately, for a few months, but he will be back. And in the meantime, we are going to continue telling Skies of Glass stories. It's just going to be a different story, but it will
this
in
campaign.
parallel with this campaign. So we're just going to be telling a side story, so a meanwhile sort of story.
And there's going to be a new person joining us, too.
And Eric's friend Brandon will be taking Brodor's place. And when Brodor comes back,
Then the Brandon and Brodor fight.
Yeah.
Whoever wins gets the seat.
yes.
Shit, I better get ripped.
I'm just waiting for you to go turn the mic off because I don't know any of this other than Brodor leaving.